Hello and welcome to the THC Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the show where we talk about truth, hope, and change. The truths that are in the world, some of them disturbing, the hope that we can find to try to change things, and the ways that we can change things. We're broadcasting again today from the Healing Wave Cannabis Substitution Program Low Barrier Access Dispensary in Vancouver, BC at 157 East Cordova Street. On the show today, as always, 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca will join me for the 420 session. Jerry Martin is struggling to get down here on time, but I think he will. And he'll join us for the Martin Medical Moment, where we'll discuss issues to do with the pursuit of medical cannabis rights for people. And very thrilled to have on the show today Jody Emery. She's been a guest on the show a couple times before. Always a delight to find out what she's doing. And we're going to talk about what we're thankful for today. This is the show after Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I hope that you took the day to focus on the things that we can be thankful for. In the world that we're in right now, there's a lot to be not so thankful for, but as always, there's still things to be thankful for. And in fact, because the world is a little bit more upside down than it has been in previous years, it allows us to really understand how thankful we need to be about our friends and our family and our freedoms and those types of things. So thanks for joining us. And I'm going to give, as I always do, a status update on where we're at with the Healing Wave Dispensary. Because we're not there yet. We've been over 100 days now, not counting the days that we're closed, but 100 days of being open to helping people getting access with low barriers to good quality cannabis at affordable prices, primarily to address the overdose epidemic that's happening, because people really need to have an option of cannabis, especially high dose edibles, to help them get off the drugs that are dangerous and risky, and to then replace those drugs and do for them that plus more of what they're requiring from the drugs that they're taking. So we're here, we're still open, but we're still facing threats. When we first opened, within a few weeks, what we had happen was the licensing department had a person walk by, come in and say, "Oh, you can't be here, you need a license." And I instructed her to have the manager contact me and we could discuss things. And instead of that, they sent us and our landlord a letter, and that is still looming large today. The Healing Wave Dispensary is here in a collaboration with the Cannabis Substitution Program. And the Cannabis Substitution Program has been running for over 3 years and 8 months. For almost all of that time, except the last 100 days, it operated from VANDU, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users in Vancouver here on Hastings Street. It's an advocacy group run by the people from the streets for them, funded by Coastal Health. And for 3.5 years, we were given permission to use their facility to help hand out cannabis edibles, high-dose edibles to people for the precise reason to help get them off the drugs that are on the street that are killing people. And so we handed out every Thursday and Sunday approximately 300 care packs of 4 to 5, 6 edibles, a couple of joints. And people would line up for hours to get that in the rain, in the snow, in the heat, in the wind, through all kinds of different weather conditions and other conditions. Many people with mobility issues, have trouble just standing or sitting in one place for long periods of time. And yet, our service was so valuable that we would have people lined up the street for hours waiting for us to get there and do that. After 2.5 years of having that be the case, the city of Vancouver had to respond to the pressure because of our program to pass unanimously a motion on June 26, 2019, allowing for low barrier access to cannabis to address the overdose crisis and saying that they would support those ventures. We had a meeting, Jody Emery, myself, a member of the Green Cross and a board member from VANDU with Councillor Bly, whose motion it was. And it was a wonderful meeting. We all saw eye to eye on things, and we left with an understanding that we would find a storefront to operate our program out of, and that we would then provide low barrier access as well because that's what this city needs, that's what this overdose crisis needs, and that's what the city councillor envisioned. So after discussing with her what her vision was, we went about putting that together, and we formed the Serious Hope Society in doing that because she wanted to have representatives from numerous dispensaries that were operating in Vancouver. And on our advisory board with the Serious Hope Society, we have 5 different dispensaries represented. I would say the 5 top ones that were operating in Vancouver at the heyday. And so we've got that going on. We've got low barrier access where people can easily become members here. And then we have a huge variety of the different cannabinoids in all of the different ways that people need to take them, from flowers to concentrates to edibles to creams to suppositories. And we're really trying to meet the need of the community. And we're trying to do that in the best way possible. But we are contravening the Cannabis Act in doing so. We are not getting licenses that we should be getting to be able to do this from these public servants. Instead, we've had numerous roadblocks along the way, although I have had productive and friendly conversations with Judy Darcy's office, with Adrian Carr's assistant, with Shane Simpson, the MLA's office, and even with Premier Horgan's office. Our issue is more with the federal government, and so we have put together an extremely large and comprehensive package of an emergency request to Patty Haydu, the federal health minister, to give us an exemption, a temporary exemption from Section 140 that would allow us to do what we're doing here, and that is pending. So we've sent that off. I think we sent that off in sometime mid to late September. And we're still waiting from a response. We've heard nothing, even though it was marked as an emergency and urgent request. And the reason for that is because the landlord, fearing repercussions from the city, has instructed his lawyer to do what it is that's necessary to satisfy the city, and that is to try to have us evicted. So even though the landlord loves us, really loves what we're doing here, wants us to stay, wants us to be his tenants for years, he feels he must comply with the city's pressure. In meeting with him today, he said that within the last few weeks, someone from the licensing department was at our shop. They didn't announce it to us. They didn't ask us any questions or allow us to respond in any way. But they went to the landlord or the landlord's lawyer and said, you know, they're still there. They're still selling cannabis. What are you doing about it? So we have a court date coming up of October 19th that we are considerably concerned about because we don't have permission yet. We don't have an exemption yet. So what we're doing is still illegal. Our hands are dirty as far as the courts are concerned. And the landlord, we had a month-to-month agreement with, and you know that he terminated, and he gave us paperwork telling us to leave. But of course, I couldn't leave because we can't stop doing what we're doing here. But it's not an option to go back to Vandu at this point. In fact, the last day that we were there, we had a very serious incident where someone in our lineup got pepper sprayed. Actually, 2 people ended up getting hit by that, but one fellow very seriously. And that had never happened in the 3.5 years that we'd been there. Nothing like that had ever happened. We did have issues with our lineup and some people not being happy and butting in and other things. But we never had any fights, and we certainly never had any violence. And so, you know, upon that happening, strangely enough, on the very last day that we were going to be there, because we already had our store here, that definitely would have stopped us from lining people up on the sidewalk to be targets for people again. There's a lot of mental health issues going on these days because of what's going on in our world. And we're seeing that, you know, it's very visible here on the downtown east side. There's been a lot of stabbings. There's been a lot of violence. There's been a lot of people using bear mace on other people. There's a lot of bear bangers going off randomly in different areas. It is not fun down here. I've been promising that one of these days we'll do a little walkthrough in the neighborhood and let you have a look at what goes on the downtown east side of Vancouver, where primarily poverty, but mostly the prohibition of drugs has driven this situation to be what it is here, with the poverty and the homelessness and the drug addiction and the drug dealers and all of the people that are really suffering that are visible here on the downtown east side. So there's been a lot of aggravated violence happening because of the COVID thing, and because people are isolating, because people are losing their friends and family at an alarming rate. And so this is what's going on here, and we couldn't possibly think of having all those people line up again like that going into the winter time, as well, and let them be targets for other people or have to endure the weather. What we've transitioned into here is perfect. It is exactly what we needed to be able to do in the place that we need to be able to do it in. We're literally 1 block from Main and Hastings. We're a half a block looking down the lane that's right in front of us from seeing all of the carnage of the drug war that's happening here. And so that this is a location that suits our project absolutely the best. And we love our landlord, and the people down here love us and what we're doing. The feedback we're getting is amazing. Clearly, we are doing a whole lot of good, and clearly we are doing no harm as we do all this good in trying to rescue the people that are lost down here, to try to give them an alternative that'll work for them. There's so many people that have transitioned off of hard drugs onto cannabis, and they'll tell you that it saved their life. We hear it all the time. I know so many of these people. And so that it's just crazy that we continue to face roadblocks from our public servants in our efforts to try to address this crisis that's within our communities. These public servants should be helping us. They certainly shouldn't be getting in the way. So the first one was the licensing problem, that we didn't have a license. We were told that we couldn't get a license, and so, don't even bother. But John Conroy's done a fabulous job. He's doing a similar thing for the Compassion Club, and there is a way forward for us to get a license, to get at least a temporary exemption until we can get a real exemption and then get a real license to do what we're doing here. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that. Recently, we got a letter just the other day when I contacted the licensing department in Vancouver again, because we got such a great letter of support from 2 of the councillors in Vancouver City Hall. And I wanted to know if the licensing department had seen that letter that was written in support of us. And instead, I got an answering machine. I left an answer asking Mark McClellan, the manager there, if he had seen that letter and if they were willing to talk to our landlord and give them some assurance that there wouldn't be any fines or prosecution coming their way. And instead of calling me back, he forwarded to me an email from the city lawyer, Liam Dixon. And that letter was addressed to my lawyer, John Conroy, or our lawyer, and it said that there was nothing the city could do, that we needed to go through an application process that wouldn't be successful, and that even if we were successful, that they wouldn't allow it because of zoning here. So for some reason, our public servants at City Hall think that this area here isn't zoned or isn't right for exactly what is the right thing to be doing here. So that's just crazy as well. So in forwarding that letter to Mr. Conroy, he noticed that it was actually written 3 weeks before it was sent to us, and we had never seen it. It just came through the licensing department. So John, who was actually going to call Mr. Dixon in any case that day, contacted him, and Mr. Dixon was shocked that we hadn't got that email. John has since gone through all of his emails, deleted and otherwise, to see that it never arrived. And so Mr. Dixon was quite nice about it and suggested that we simply go through the development application process, which we would be denied for because the zoning isn't right, but that at that point we could go before the Board of Variance, and the Board of Variance we have a very good chance of succeeding at, and so we were quite happy that that's what we can do. However, that plus all of these other things, the letters from the councillor, we got a great letter of support from Dr. M.J. Malloy, we got another one from the local psychiatric nurse that works on the downtown east side, and others, still is not enough to have the landlord's lawyer cancel the court date or at least postpone it for us. And so with 6 days to go, we're still looking at going to court next Monday. And, fingers crossed how that's going to work. But this whole thing is just so crazy. Everybody's in favor of us. Even Premier Horgan's office was supportive and in favor of us, and all of these other places that I've talked to. But we actually, I should say that John also wrote a long letter, a very compelling, passionate letter appealing to the prosecutor who's going to try to prosecute the eviction here to hold off, to give us some more time, to not proceed with this because of the compelling reasons why we shouldn't stop here. Because even stopping for a day will put people at risk. We've got 250 people, 253, that are part of our program that get high-dose cannabis edibles for free, 420 milligrams every 4 days. If we stop providing that to those people, there's going to be some serious consequences to that. We have 1,500 people that in the last 4 months have signed up as members of the Healing Wave Dispensary, where they can access cannabis, high quality, good concentrates, edibles, and all the rest of it for really low prices. Many of those people are using that to now try to get off of those hard drugs and supplement the use of those. If we stop being here and being available to these people, there's a bunch of those also that are going to be at serious risk from this. We can't stop for a day. We certainly can't stop for a week or a month while we wait for public servants to give us, the public, permission to intervene in an epidemic of death that's going on down here. This is so ludicrous. It really drives me nuts. So yeah, we're fighting our government. We're fighting our public servants. They're putting up all kinds of roadblocks. Hearing nothing back from the federal government after 3 weeks of providing them with an urgent request to help, to intervene so that our landlord doesn't evict us. Hearing nothing back from them is absolutely criminal. It is absolutely akin to murder. Do they not care about these people that are dying? It's not just the people on the downtown east side, although those are the ones that are being targeted at this point by zoning regulations, by licensing regulations, by laws and bylaws and regulations and restrictions. What are the intentions of our public servants for our poor and destitute people? What are their intentions when all of these roadblocks are there to prevent us from being able to do a simple thing that really helps? This is a plant that grows easily. It's provided us as human beings medicine and solace and spiritual help and all of these things that it does for us for thousands and thousands of years. And here we are, we can't grow plants, make them into cookies, or just sell them when they dry, because it helps people not die. And we can't do that without fighting our government. It makes no sense. The only thing that makes sense is it must be making a huge amount of money for somebody. And sure enough, when you look at it, that's exactly what's going on. The only reason for these roadblocks is because they don't want anybody but their insider paid up friends to be able to sell us cannabis. That's the only reason. This is all about protecting a government monopoly of providing cannabis to people so that nobody else can. Trudeau's cartel is able to take our money that we give them for taxes and pay guys with guns to chase people around and stop them from selling cannabis to people so that they can be the only ones selling cannabis to people. This is so wrong on so many levels. That's the 419 warning, saved by the bell as always once again. I get to focus now on things that I'm happy about, because we're gonna talk about things that we're thankful for on this Thanksgiving weekend edition of the THC show. So that's what I'm not happy about. That's what's going on with that. And it's 420, so roll them and get ready to light them. It's almost 420. And as always on the show, Glenn Wells is coming to visit for the 420 session. 8 out of 10 Glenn, the founder of CannaMatch.ca, and the guy who really likes to give thanks, not just on Thanksgiving, but every day. Every day. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, how are you?
Oh, I'm really good. I'm thankful for that.
Yes.
So you run a thing where every day you post something that you're thankful for.
Yeah.
And you end it by, and what are you thankful for?
Yes.
And you get a lot of responses
I do.
to
Some
that.
days, it depends on the topic. Sometimes I do. But yeah, I do get a lot of responses.
A lot of responses.
And a lot of people are saying thank you for posting these because it's changed their feed. It's become a positive feed instead of a negative feed, right?
Because Facebook works with these algorithms where it depends on what you're putting in is what you're going to get out.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
About 2 years ago, like maybe a year and a half ago, I was always down on myself because of my PTSD.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, okay, now I know what the problem is. How can I change it?
Right.
So I figured by posting something thankful each day, it would help me change. And it really has. It's changed me.
That's my thing. I know it's simple and some people around me don't like it. because what I always say is just focus on positive things.
Try to,
you know?
yeah.
And it's not possible to always focus on positive things, but that's what you try to do.
Yeah.
And so you come up with this mechanism to help people do that
Yeah.
by telling them something you're thankful for and saying, hey, what are you thankful for today?
Inspire them to think what they're thankful for. Yeah.
So which ones stand out to you? Like which ones have?
Well, people like that we have food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people are like that they woke up that day.
Right. Right.
People like that that they have good health.
Yeah. Well, health is really underrated.
Yeah,
good health is underrated.
A lot of people are thankful for family.
Right.
Family and friends.
Of course.
And then a lot of people are thankful for my posts.
Of course. Well, everybody's thankful for your posts. I mean, how could you not be, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, that it really does change a person's path when they take a pause to just think about, well, okay, what would I be thankful for today?
Yeah, well, I used to wake up in the morning, go look at the pillow, there's nobody there, I'm lonely.
So you're focused on things that are not making you happy.
So now when I wake up in the morning, I think, okay, what am I thankful for today?
Beautiful.
Right? Instead of, oh no, there's nobody beside me or something like that, right?
On,
there's only an 8-year-old to talk to.
and for years, what I've done is as I'm falling asleep, I'll think to myself, what are my blessings?
Yes.
And I've always got the first one. I can get the first 10 right after that because they're almost always the same. You know, I've got a warm, dry, clean, comfortable place to sleep. And all of those kind of things. Yeah, we got to light the joint. What are we doing?
So we're smoking some.
I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's my first thankful thing? It's either cannabis or you. I'm going to go with you. So this is what we're smoking today. There you
thankful for that.
Yes, for being here. You've helped change my mood too. You know, you gave me a purpose also, other than just my videos sitting on a couch at home, right?
Very cool.
So this is,
and I think for other people too, because you really do represent a lot of other people that feel like you feel. And,
yeah.
You know, they get to join us for this session as well.
Yeah.
I hope you're all enjoying some of the sacred herb and the magical vapors at this moment.
So that's what we're smoking.
This is Pink Beard?
Yeah, this is Pink Beard. This is a Pink Kush crossed with a Bubba Kush.
The Pink Beard?
There you go. It's grown by Beard Brothers.
Of course.
So, and that's why it's called Pink Beard. And it's good.
It's very nice.
Very sticky.
Very nice.
Yes. So that's what you're smoking today.
Of course, it's illegal, and it's every person's duty if you come across stuff that's illegal to, incinerate it.
Well, this is not illegal because he's my DG, so we're all good.
I'm thankful for humor.
Yes. Humor is very part of it.
Humor is what got us here, really.
Yep.
You know, because us as beings are, about 4+ billion years old of procreation. Like, our mom was born to some other mom that was born to some other mom that was born to some. I could go on for a very long time.
DNA being shared with DNA being shared with DNA.
Exactly that. See, something else is arriving now. And what is this one?
Black Sugar Rose.
Black Sugar Rose.
Grown in live soil.
This is Pink Beard.
Wow.
Keep it. You can have that. Oh, yeah.
I forget what my point was, except that we have billions of years of procreation that got us to here. I now remember my point. I'm thankful for memory, even though it doesn't work great all the time. At least there's some left.
Yes.
And that is that, we are survivors of survivors. At different points in history over these billions of years of life, leading to us here. Our forefathers, 4 monkeys, 4 whatevers, they've encountered serious hardship.
Yep.
Serious hardship.
Yep.
And what got them through? Humor.
Humor. Yep.
Humor.
And love. Compassion.
Love is a big part of that too.
Compassion. Yeah.
Yeah, because we love humor.
Yeah, because we love humor. Yes.
That's right. My family.
I love humor too.
My family came from Sweden.
Jokes. Yeah. Okay.
Several generations ago.
Yep.
And they arrived, I think, in New York, went to Minnesota, migrated up to Canada, Eastern Canada, and then across the prairies, where they ended up staying in Saskatchewan until my dad came here when he was a boy. But the road from Minnesota or Eastern Canada to Saskatchewan back at that time was not paved.
No, it probably would have been a dirt road back there.
Yeah.
And is that why you bought property in Saskatchewan?
No, that was just a synchronistic fluke.
That was
a very synchronistic fluke. I had a need to buy some property because my mom had decided to share some of the sale of the family house.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of money. It was enough to buy something in Saskatchewan, but not something here. And because I complained to Jerry Martin that my family was blocking me from having this money because they were insisting that I put it into property. And he's like looking in his phone. He goes, well, here, you can have that place for, you know, cheap. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, well, that's my house and they're forcing me to sell it. And, you know, I said, oh, I don't want to rip you off for your house, Jerry. And he says, no, somebody's going to buy it, man. And, you know, so I didn't talk him down. I just gave him what the asking price was. And then, so I got the money that was there from the sale of the house, thanks to my dad's really hard work and mom too, over the years. And that turned out to be Jerry's property in Whitewood, Saskatchewan. And in going for a drive down the road to the next sort of bigger town that's not too far away, very close, like within 25 minutes of my property, is a sign talking about Swedish immigrants that came there into New Stockholm. You mean like
one of those point of interest signs?
And point of interest sign. Yeah. And I saw it there. I like to read those things. I had no idea that's what I was going to read. But it talked about them coming and having a delegation meet there. Yeah. And then they formed New Stockholm. And some of them were buried in the cemetery of the church that was up on the hill. Okay. So I went up to the church, and in the cemetery there were Andersons, and my great-grandmother was Anderson, or grandparents. So you found some I found some of my roots right there, you know, close to where the house is. So yeah.
What's your best joke? Talking about humor?
Oh man, my
I got one. Joke. Well, yeah. Well, what do you see when the Pillsbury Doughboy bends over?
Hot cross buns?
Donuts.
You know, jokes are funny things.
Yeah, well, you
and I do remember them sometimes. I'll remember a joke.
Yes.
And I'll retell it until people get sick of it, and then it fades away.
Yeah.
The joke is that when my grandpa passed away and I was 12 years old, I moved in with my grandma, Magnuson, and stayed with her for a while until she felt better. And in my bedroom was this huge volume, the Reader's Digest Bedside Book of Laughter.
Love it.
And it was filled full of just page after page of jokes.
Yeah.
I read it cover to cover.
Oh, you can't remember one.
And the joke is that I really can't remember one joke. I could start telling this one about on the train, but no, I can't think of how it ends.
I remember those books being on the back of the toilet. Remember, because Dad used to always
Digest.
Newspaper in, right? And
I've read all of those.
Crosswords and word
There's
search.
like 5 different things in the Reader's Digest that are funny.
I
read every one.
Now we bring our phone. You know,
I still read jokes. I still can't tell you one. I don't know, but I find funny stuff all over the place, and there's humor everywhere for me, but it's not really in the form of, hey, you know, 2 guys walked into a bar and one of them had a pet parrot on his shoulder, and you know.
I'm also thankful for cannabis. It's helped me through my PTSD.
I made a list for Jody and I to talk about it. Yeah. Cannabis is right there.
Well, I'm definitely part of that too. Because
how could you not be thankful for cannabis?
Through my crack addiction and everything. It's got me off crack. It's helped me with PTSD. It's brought me to where I am today with you and stuff like that, teaching people that it wasn't as bad. So
you could probably do a month's worth of I'm thankful for posts all devoted to cannabis. And
yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
It really has so many benefits.
There's still some stigma out there.
Oh man!
Wow, it's getting better.
There's lots to fight in, and we're here to talk today about it getting better.
Yes.
It's still there though. We're still fighting. There's lots of stigma, lots of issues, but we're getting better. It's getting better.
And I'm seeing the older generation, like 50s and 60s, coming into it is really helping too.
Lots of things are helping.
Yeah, right.
It's a real snowball effect that's going on here. The dominoes have been falling for a while. We reached a tipping point quite a while ago. Now it's becoming more and more acceptable. Now I think our store has a chance of surviving, with government approval.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a lot more celebrities coming out and telling the truth about how cannabis has helped them in the creative process and other ways as well. So yeah, I'm very thankful that we're watching it go the way that it's going. There's things that
we're not done yet.
There's still an evil group of people that want to control and monopolize us and the plant, and we still got to fight all that. But we're fighting it, and there's good people fighting it. Well, Glenn, that was great, man.
Yeah.
Another 420 session in the books.
Be another one next week.
That's very nice there, too.
You like that? It's pretty good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bringing me weed all the time. How can I not like that?
Well, I can't do it all the time.
You want to get people bringing you weed to start your own pot TV show.
When I get somebody's special, I like to bring it, right? The
You
Blue
do.
Dream and this, right? So
Yeah,
if we get something,
this stuff here.
we get something.
Jerry brought in this here.
What is this, Jerry? Oh,
He
you
said
didn't tell us.
it's black something rose.
Oh, nice. It's very crystally, eh?
It's very nice.
I like that. Yeah.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
Glenn. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
And talking about Jerry Martin, it now moves us to the Martin Medical Moment. And this is the segment of the show where we have Jerry Martin come in and tell us a little bit about his journey through the courts and what that's like when you're a dispensary owner and the city and the government comes in and tries to shut you down. And see, you're not going to let me give you a long introduction again, eh? Come on. Well, what? No.
Glenn told me to come in.
Either way. I like to tell Jerry's story. I don't know if it embarrasses him to have me tell it when he's sitting right here, but I usually try to open the segment with a bit of information about what this is all about and who Jerry is and what's going on with that. When the government legalized weed, they did it in a way that was not the way that we've been asking for at all. We wanted all of our dispensaries, medical dispensaries, to be brought into the mainstream, to be licensed and allowed, and that we would lead the way in explaining to the government what the proper way to legalize things were, that we could show them what a proper dispensary should be all about and all those kind of things. And Trudeau, smiled and nodded and promised and lied. And so that in the end, what they had planned all along was that the hostile takeover of the entire cannabis industry, the wiping out of all the original legacy growers and sellers of cannabis, and to be replaced by licensed producers who go through, a rigorous, expensive licensing program or process, and then if they have enough money and if they're good enough friends with the government or whatever else is required, then they can be one of the few that get to sell only cannabis from these particular producers. And it's not good cannabis. They're growing on scale. They don't care about the bud. They care about money, so you'd think they'd grow better bud just for that reason. But I really think the impetus behind it is they don't even care about people using cannabis. They don't really want people using cannabis. They're quite happy to sell us alcohol. And so that they're not allowed to talk about the medical benefits of what's going on in these government cannabis stores at all. Not allowed to advertise, talk about any benefits anywhere. And the medical dispensaries that existed have all been pretty much systematically shut down. And Jerry Martin ran one of those dispensaries. He had opened up a few years before Trudeau's legalization to help his community get access. Had a membership of about 1,000 people, strictly adhering to the protocols set forth by Riel Kapler and Philippe Lucas back in the days of the Compassion Club, and hoping that he would be able to become a licensed business. But instead, after Trudeau got in, he got a notice to stop his operations. We've gone into this before. If you can just imagine being a dispensary owner, you got 1,000 people that are members. They're all coming to you for legitimate medical reasons. You're helping them get access to something that they're very happy to get and going to be desperate not to get. And your corrupt government asks you or tells you that you can't do that anymore. You can't stop doing that. Jerry didn't stop doing that. He'd been doing it in the face of laws against cannabis from the beginning anyway, as had all dispensary owners. And so they eventually came and arrested him and seized all of his properties and things. And that was 4 years ago. Is it that long almost?
Yeah, it'll be 4 years, November 7th, I think.
Oh my God, coming right up in November.
Yeah.
So 4 years since that happened. 4 years that you ran your dispensary before that happened. And still not a day in court to be able to, speak for yourself and stuff, and that's still coming. So that's what's going on, and we used this segment to talk about the pursuit of medical cannabis on a number of different fronts. In Nova Scotia, Heidi Chartrand is going through the circus of courts there. Apparently was going to give final arguments, I think last Friday, Friday before last, but that got postponed. So now that's on November 5th coming up. I'm sure Heidi's going to do as best a job as can be done before a corrupt judicial system and before corrupt government lawyers, and we'll see what comes out of that. But there's that going on. There's not a lot else going on right now, although there's some cases in the works and pending. And with yours, you've got some other dispensaries have joined in.
Yeah.
And what are they saying about things now? They're still just waiting for the prosecutor to give a date?
Basically, I think they all had to move into high court. I think they all are now. Now they have to get all their affidavits done for their witnesses and whatnot. Once they're all submitted, then I'm assuming that we can finally get to court, which seems to be about another year or so.
Wow.
They know me so well at that police station on the island. I don't even have to say my last name. I call them up every Tuesdays.
Hey, Jerry.
Second Tuesday. I had to say it. I had to call them this morning. Hey, Jerry. Anything?
Yeah. Well, and it's just
They
obscene.
laughed at me.
You know my belief. I've been saying it
Yeah.
since the beginning. They're never going to let you have your day in court. They're going to call it off before you really get there. How obscene would that be after all of this effort on your behalf, on the behalf of others on our side of this, and on the behalf of government? How much tax dollars have been wasted on these prosecutors? Second prosecutor now.
Yeah,
you know,
second,
Yeah, and all of these court dates, 40 some court dates.
You know, they laughed at me when I had to come out here and I had to check into an actual police station first before I could call in.
Right.
So I went in, they asked me what I got arrested for, and they said, really? Yeah. So it makes a big difference from province to province.
It does.
And place to place.
Yeah, and even judge to judge, unfortunately.
You know, how they, yeah.
That's kind of like, you know, way back in the day I was married, and weed became an issue in my marriage there because there was a bust that happened where my wife walked into the house that my partner and I were helping people get access through, and he had been busted and the house had been tossed, and she had the evening supply in her purse, you know, with our little one in her arms. And so she became anti-weed at that point, and you know, didn't want me smoking weed. But you know, I'm my own boss, and so I would smoke weed. But it was an issue between us. You know, I wouldn't stop, but I didn't smoke it around her because she didn't like it. I kept it to myself. I smoked it on my job sites, and you know, on the way to work and on the way home from work. And it was a big issue between us for sure. It was such a big issue that I ended up going to. I guess it's not Alcohol Anonymous, it's whatever the other one would be. NA, Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah. And so I go to this meeting, and there's all these people, and they're standing up one by one and telling their stories. And then I get up there and I tell my story. And even before that, you know, I was telling the people beside me why I was there, because my wife insisted that I go there because I wouldn't stop smoking weed. And they're like, but you have a job? You know, everything else is okay. Just that you want to keep smoking. I said, yeah, I like smoking weed. And they literally laughed me out.
We had one guy show up for weed at a rehab I was at, and he got it hard.
They literally laughed me out. He was
kind of forced to be there, so
they were all smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and talking about how they would do horrible things to get enough money so they wouldn't climb the walls at night of their rooms to get what they needed and stuff. And you know, I just wasn't there. I've never been there. It's always been, you know, you need to smoke a joint.
I've been there.
Life is stressful sometimes, you know, wife and kids even, and all kinds of other things. Life is just stressful. And for me, I felt better when I smoked a joint, when I was starting to feel the stress. It was that saying, you know, gee, I really feel like I need to smoke a joint. That was true for me day after day for most of my adolescence and most of my life, and it still is. You know, it's just something that helps me feel better.
Yeah, for sure it does. Yeah.
From the stress of a corrupt world where there's a lot of people being harmed that don't need to be, and a lot of people dying, and Mother Nature is cruel sometimes, and all the rest of it. I find that all very stressful. I'm kind of a sensitive guy.
For a joint, you know?
Yeah, and then the drug war and the war against cannabis and all the rest of it. It's a stressful thing that's going on here. So thank God for cannabis.
Yeah, I brought that bud in just particularly to show you.
Tell me the name again.
Growing if it's not growing by the government.
They just need to tell you can grow, and there you go.
Yeah, this is Black Sugar Rose.
Black Sugar Rose.
Yeah, it's grown in live soil, so they don't even add nutrients to it whatsoever, or to any chemicals.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it is. Yeah.
Would it pass the microbe test?
I would think so.
I don't know. I don't know what it does with the microbes. You know, microbes are just life that is existent on other life.
Well, probably
it's on
not.
Fruits and vegetables. It's on everything.
That's a good question.
And the government's whole issue with their chemical sprays and the irradiation seems to be a war against the microbes, which I've never known to harm anybody. I've known pesticides and irradiation to probably harm people.
Everything grows in the ground, so we're just creating the same environment.
You know, I mean,
with
we've never.
worms and things like,
I mean, this is the big thing for me. I mean, we've never had a problem. There's never been a problem.
until
Reefer
chemicals
Madness
came
was
in
lies, right?
pharmaceuticals.
Well, Reefer Madness, which was a campaign, or what we named this campaign back in the 30s, where the pharmaceutical interests really tried hard to demonize cannabis. And so, and I guess the oil industry had something to do with that, with the Rockefellers who had, you know, hands in both of those different industries, and others as well, that, you know, it was to their advantage to put down this one plant that their patents on what they had couldn't compare with. And so Reefer Madness happened, where they talked about it making people violent and insane. And
Yeah, there was
you
a
know,
lot of racism involved there.
there was
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah, and I think a very angry husband about a wife.
All of that was dispelled.
Yeah.
All of that was dispelled over time in the 60s. The Schaefer Commission and the Ledane Commission and others decided that no, cannabis doesn't make you violent and insane. So after that, they said, well, it makes you lazy and stupid. Well, you know, if you're already stupid and you smoke weed, you might say some stupid things. But if you're stressed out and you smoke an indica, it's going to cause you to relax, because that
changes
you know,
your mind frame.
It does, and
So
you can
that's
get
the
you can
important
get you
thing.
can get lazy
You
on
know?
weed.
Yeah.
You know, you can get lazy on weed for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people need to be a lot more lazy than they are. They're too fucking busy.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna, you know, really think about it, teenagers really need to sleep more than they get to sleep, and they got a lot of stress going on. So if they're now coming home and not wanting to do their chores and wanting to do homework and they just would rather like smoke a joint and chill before a video game or sleep on the couch. That's probably because that's what's best for them. I don't know. But anyway, that was the next big campaign. Was,
My kids would like
okay,
that.
it doesn't make you violent and insane. It makes you stupid and lazy. Well, then now that's been dismissed as well. We understand
Oh, for sure.
cannabis is a focusing tool if you use it properly. The sativas get you going, man. You're going to clean your room 3 times if you smoke too much sativa.
I'm gonna say my son
So
smokes
now-
weed all day, and he holds down a job. He's at the same girlfriend for
Absolutely,
like
I did
6
for all my
years.
life. I
Yeah.
smoked every day on the way to
Yeah.
work and
Any
during
girl,
work and I was a better employee because of it, you know, and that's true for most
First
of my
year LP,
coworkers, everybody else. So now it's about public safety. Now it's about the microbes. That there must be microbes on there that are hurting people. So let's irradiate it before we let anybody have it. If you're not going to irradiate it, we got 27 nasty chemicals. That'll kill them microbes.
Yeah, I would just
There's
whack those
never
terpenes,
been a
yeah.
problem with microbes, just like there wasn't really a problem with stupid, lazy people or violent and insane people. This is all made up lies to just protect things, to protect industries all grown up to have to profit off of prohibition. You know how many industries profit off of prohibition? They don't want that to stop. Can you imagine the lobbying that went on with Trudeau when he was going to legalize weed, and all these places that were involved in making money off of prohibition were going to lose their money? They must have lobbied the shit out of him, because look what he ended up doing. He came up with legalization where all of those groups get to still make money on prohibition, and they get to make money selling weed to everybody. Holy shit, these are smart people, aren't they?
They're smart.
They are smart. They're incredibly smart. Even war is smart for those that profit on selling the armaments of war, and for going and capturing the spoils of war.
A lot of armaments for war out of Canada.
No, we're up against pretty clever people.
Never in the news. All the missiles we're making and all that. You know, it's never in the news. It's
funny how when you have that much money, you can just buy media outlets.
Yeah,
and then you can tell the public whatever you want. This is supposed to be the age of information. This is supposed to be the age of getting things right. We're not wrong for very long anymore because of the internet. But instead, now all of a sudden we got the age of fake news, where you can't trust what's out there. You don't even know. And I'm going to say, we did air a segment on the show last week that was a woman, I believe her name is Dr. Popper. It was a YouTube video that was... We didn't air it. Okay, we put up a link for it. Well, I did discuss it. She was quoting different things about the pandemic and going on in the world. And she said, and there's some positive news, and she said some things that were positive, and she said, we got Dr. Bonnie Henry in British Columbia, and then she rattled off a whole quote from Dr. Bonnie Henry about, let's not panic, let's understand that love and friendship and human beings are important, let's keep doing our jobs, and let's not worry, we're not dragging it in on our shoes, and she said, and this apparent quote said that wearing masks for prolonged periods of time reduce the intake of oxygen and aren't healthy to do that, and not required unless you're in large groups. Well, that suits how I see things as well. And if I'm social distancing, I don't need to wear a mask.
I heard that it is a truth.
Turns out that was not true.
Yeah.
That was not a quote from Bonnie Henry. A lot of effort was put together to make that, very reasonable and very.
I meant the mask thing too. Like that's what I thought. But then it's been,
For me personally, I wore a mask a couple weeks ago. I got a cold. And that day when I had a cold, I put the mask on and I made sure I tried to stay away from people as well, which is kind of silly. If you're staying away, you don't, but still, just to be careful because you don't know. Well, pretty quickly I knew that it wasn't COVID, so that's fine. But that day that I was coughing constantly and into my mask, and then having to breathe, the residue from that.
Yeah.
And I was also having trouble when we had the fires here. And I wore a mask a couple days here because of the smoke intake. And I don't like having it on. It doesn't feel right, and I don't think it's healthy. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'll wear one and go. I went and got blood work and stuff done the other day. I'm going to go do iboga.
Right.
Yeah.
So you went and had it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to go back. They didn't do the liver function test, so. But, yeah.
So anyway, it's it's crazy that there's that kind of fake news out there, and that's what I was saying. I mean, we should have a world where you can pretty quickly find out if something is true or not. That one took a little bit of investigating to figure out, but apparently it was fake news, and
Yeah.
I took a lot of heat for that.
Still off
and then I
Facebook,
left it up, and somebody said, "Why are you leaving this up?" I said, "Well, I'm leaving it up because in the thread, it's exposed that this was a fake news report that was put out there." And no, that still shouldn't have it up there, so I deleted it. Whatever. A lot of pressure these days to.
That's another reason I don't do Facebook anymore, man.
It's not fun sometimes.
It's been months.
I use it as a broadcasting medium to try to get the truth out there. That's what I try to do. I try to tell the truth. I really do try to tell the truth. But you can't always know what the truth is these days. So
that's good. I mean, that stuff's all good. It's the angry people.
It's true.
It made me.
Yeah,
angry.
exactly.
I don't want to be that angry
post
guy
that I
no
put
more,
up there made some people pretty angry. Their comments to me were not nice at all.
Yeah, it's total mob mentality too, right? And everybody gets into it. And it's just
my biggest issue with the whole thing is how divisive it is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, anything to add before we wrap it up for the Martin Medical Moment?
No, we're good.
We're good. We'll see you next week.
Oh, hey, we should give away a couple Microdelics kits sometime.
All right, let's do it.
We'll do it for an act of kindness.
Because Jerry's got a thing going with microdelics.ca where they're challenging the government on the laws against psychedelics for one thing, but also trying to make analogs of psilocybin and LSD available to people because it really does help with depression and anxiety and addiction and those kind of things.
Yeah, we saw it at, it was just 1 year on October 10th.
Nice.
Microdelics' birthday. Yeah.
Wow. Microdelics.ca.
Yeah.
And Jerry Martin.
Yeah, so next show, if somebody gets maybe a newspaper or something with a date on it with an act of kindness, and
all right,
we'll give away a couple of kits.
Okay.
Give away a few maybe.
So is that the criteria? You want to tell the criteria this week?
Well, yeah, we just want to get people out there doing kind things for people, maybe,
and being able to prove it.
Well, yeah, with cannabis, maybe handing out a joint to somebody or a $5 bill to a homeless guy or something like that.
So they send us a picture.
And then I'll send you off a DMT kit. They're $199, and an LSD kit. They're $60, and tax $300 for.
Yeah, we got to figure these things out. We usually talk about these things before we go on air, and then we got it all figured out.
We can get them just to do it on the live feed while they're watching.
Can't. You know, use words and no pictures.
Okay, so next week we're gonna tell you the right criteria for how to get in on this, and then the following week we're gonna give it away.
Sounds good.
That's what we're gonna do.
All right,
Jerry.
We'll give away a few.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have fun. Have as much fun as you can. All right. So this brings us to the main portion of the show where we like to interview some of the very special people that are involved in the pursuit of medical access and other things. And I don't think anybody that could better suit that description of helping out in this area than my next guest. And of course, that's Jody Emery. Jody's been fighting this fight for a very long time in very dramatic ways. She's been afforded such an amazing position. Come on in, Jody.
Hi.
Good to see you. You don't need much of an introduction. Everybody knows who you are.
Who knows? There's a lot of newcomers in the industry.
Well, I don't think anybody doesn't know you. Even people aren't in the cannabis world, I think they know who you are.
Caused enough trouble, hey?
So, yeah. How was your Thanksgiving?
Good. I went and saw some of my family that were in town. We had dinner.
That's nice.
Just taking it easy. I'm learning how to pace myself, getting a lot of work done, but also, really trying to take it easy for my own sake and everyone else's. And I'm on a real tear about like smiling all the time and like being friendly to people and
Well, and
trying to
that's what
like
I wanted to talk
spread.
to you about today was all the things we're thankful for.
Yeah,
Because
there's a
there's a
lot.
lot, and I don't think we really pay enough attention to how far we've come and what we have in this world and all that kind of stuff.
True. Well, and I had a recent trip to Toronto where I had my eyes opened a fair bit and had to adjust my assumptions or update my knowledge, I should say, instead. Because, like, I was in Toronto and I hosted an event called Legalization Pros and Cons, and it was a fundraiser to raise money for Cannabis Amnesty and Normal Canada. And it was me speaking along with Brittany and Aaron, my co-accused from Cannabis Culture, Jack Lloyd, the brilliant lawyer and book editor, Karima Saad, who hosts the venue, the 420 Cannabis Court. It's an outdoor area where you can hold cannabis-friendly, smoke-friendly events, and Tyler James of Cannabis Amnesty. So we had this organized to acknowledge the positives and fix the negatives. It was about pros and cons. Also, it means professionals and convicts because I'm a professional and a convict because I am punny like that. So, but pros and cons. The point of it was to like, to acknowledge that things have changed and right now with COVID and everything, people are hurting. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of well, it's no secret. I've said it on your show. I think that I went through quite a couple years of depression and hard times, and the way legalization unfolded and the ensuing loss of so many community spaces and healing spaces and the culture and community and like it just felt really important to focus on the good and see what good is out there because the last few years are so rough. And with COVID and all this mask wearing and people, there's a lot of hurt and anger and judgment and whatnot. And I've been emerging from a place of hurt and judgment and bitterness and resentment and righteousness, like all correctly so. I mean, everything we said and did was right, and so like that's all true. I don't regret anything I said, but I got really trapped in a negative, dark, sad place. And then this year, I've been emerging out of that with like a positive mindset and like a desperation to make my immediate world and therefore the larger world a better place. So I'm seeing all these people hurting and getting judgmental and angry and I just want to be like, don't go there. Like I just came from don't like we are all one. we are like there's so many things going on right now that are dehumanizing people and I just feel like cannabis and I harvested my own homegrown, which was like a beautiful, magnificent thing. And I had this like revelatory, both words I think work, experience smoking my first weed. I made a little video, it's on my Instagram, and I was like really high and I was really moved. And then after the video I cried. And then I had this like, we have to get more people growing and using cannabis and all plants. We need more people using mushrooms. I mean, I'm only microdosing myself. I haven't done any therapeutic treatments, but I want to. But
Ever?
I've done bigger doses when I was younger, so I've had like ridiculous trips and a crazy trip last year. That's the wildest story, but
Okay,
that's for
because yeah,
another
you were
time.
younger
But
yesterday.
yeah, that's so sweet. But like I haven't. I'd really like to do some proper bigger doses. Like I have stuff to deal with. I think still all that hurt is still there. I'm just in a better mindset. I think I can process it, but there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of struggle, and right now we got lots of struggle and stuff too. So I
Yeah,
just feel
especially
like
because you're not quite allowed to do mushrooms yet
well,
because the government's only allowed
there's
for dying people to have
true,
access. So
but
you have
there's
to wait a while before you can actually
but
have.
people are still bending the rules and breaking the rules and being human and
Yeah.
doing it and giving it and using it and so I just feel like there's a real revolution underway right now and a lot of things are being exposed and we're realizing in one way it's disturbing that it's hard to tell what's true or not anymore. There's this like we don't
Yeah.
share common ground. But on the flip side, the reality is there are multiple realities. And depending on who you are and where you're born and what you experience and what you feel and what you believe, whether you're religious or not or vegetarian, whatever it is, your reality is not the same as anyone else's reality. We are all one and we're all connected, but we're multifaceted and multi-reality.
Yes, we are.
Whatever the word
You
might
did it.
be.
Reality.
And so in a way, it's like I just I want people to just celebrate the fact that, yeah, we are different, but find the connections. And I think mushrooms, I don't know much about it. I haven't delved too much, but it's clear that mushrooms make up a lot of the earth and the forest and mycelium, and we're meant to be using them. And I
Well,
think
they
that
are
it's,
food and they are medicine, and just
yeah,
like the other plants on the planet,
yeah.
we're made out of all these things. We're part of all of this ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think if people start using more cannabis and mushrooms and whatever else becomes popularized, ayahuasca has been popularized in the last few years. I think, um, I don't know. I feel like we're on a threshold of some goodness, but you can't have goodness without agents of evil demonstrating what evil is to therefore know what good is. Like
It's
it's
the
like,
nature of this place we're in. It's
yeah.
a yin and yang place. There's
Hmm.
definitely pros and cons to just about everything
The
that's big
glass is
here.
half full and half empty. It's both things at once.
The
You
first
have to
thing that I
see
was
it
going to
both.
say that I was thankful for was just being alive.
Yeah, every
Being
day.
alive and being a human being on planet Earth is a very special thing.
Yes,
You know, it really,
it
really
is.
is.
It's a gift.
It's a super big gift. And the fact that we are, 7 billion of us now, and all
Isn't
within
it
our,
8 billion?
is it
I
getting
don't
close to
know.
8
I
now?
don't
Oh
know.
man, just you blink your eye, it seems. And many of us are detached and many of us don't know each other, but many of us are together, and all of us are kind of one in that we share so many common feelings and emotions
Mhm.
and how we react to things and how we feel about things. When there's trouble, human beings help each other,
Yeah,
you know
and when the humanity is in faces, like when a child is born, or even just imagine like AI and computers like recognizing faces. It needs to recognize a face, eyes, nose, mouth.
Not
The
anymore.
mouth is so, a
Not anymore.
smile and a
They do
mouth are
retinas
so,
now.
it's freaky. I
Yeah,
don't like this face covering
me
stuff
neither.
only, like, because it honestly dehumanizes people when you
It
cannot
certainly does.
see a smile, and you can't, like, that's one of the most basic fundamental things. When you're born as a child, you're looking around for a smiling face,
Yeah.
and smiles actually have real power. And if you even imagine like human beings in the worst possible circumstances, like in the concentration camps in Germany, and like think what got human beings through, it's seeing a smile across
Yeah.
the way.
Love and humor.
It's that humanity and that
Yeah.
connection. But dehumanizing people by social media, which is a way that you don't see faces, you don't see how your words hurt them or affect them.
Yeah.
So the social media dehumanization of people, there's a pushback to it. And the pushback is just awareness of how it's not good for us, but also I think the psychedelic plant medicine movement. And I think that's why there's an effort to try and get us more dehumanized and disconnected even further still. And I don't want to judge anyone for choosing what they want to do. Wear a mask if you like. I wore one on the airplane, and when I get my hair cut, I wear a hemp one just so I can at least feel like fine, I'm wearing hemp. um, but I have great concerns about what's going on right now and the judgment and condemnation of others for not seeing and thinking the way you do. And I think some of the worst things that human beings can do to another is to try and use force or coercion to make someone think a certain way, uh, act a certain way, and say things a certain way, like how you think, how you speak, and how you act. And when there's any sort of use of force or coercion through punishment, arrest,
Peer
oppression,
pressure.
all that, it it robs us of our humanity. Anyway, so I don't know exactly what
I
I'm
fear
getting
for
at.
the upcoming generation,
Yeah, I'm really
for all these
concerned
kids.
about the idea that also all these terminology is prison-esque, like lockdowns and the quarantines and all this isolation. So I just feel a lot of concerns, but I know from experience that getting distressed about it is debilitating, and
Exactly.
I've lost hope so many times, and I've been trapped in despair so many times, and that only robbed me of my power, and it robs everybody of their power. So the best way to take back your power, like in a way that everybody can do because it's free, is to smile and to just like ask people how they're doing. Like, so I was in Toronto, I did that fundraiser, and in Ontario they have masks mandatory basically in all transport hotels, inside. You can take it off when you're at a table to eat and when you're walking around outside, but otherwise pretty much everywhere. And every business is suffering there, like this economic, don't get me started on this whole economic fuckery that's destroying people's lives and causing suicides and deaths
Exactly.
and devastation on a level unprecedented, that's years in the making still to come. But aside from that shit, the human element, I tried really hard to talk to people, put away the phone. When I'm in the Uber or the taxi, it was like, how's it going, to the driver? And they would tell you it's rough. There's not many people out. And then we talk, and then we bitch about what's bad. Like, we got to share our sufferings and how worried we are. And then you usually find common ground, or you might have a disagreement, but if you're approaching it in a polite way, it's a conversation, and it's still this connection.
Connection, exactly.
And you can like look at things a different way or hear their perspective, because they have a different understanding. They do have a child that's immunocompromised. Like, you have to appreciate that. But by the end of whatever interaction you have, like, you just end up feeling kind of human, and we're all being forced to hide our humanity and to communicate digitally and virtually, which is not sufficient for humanity's survival. So it's like, try everywhere you go to smile. And even just walking here, 5-minute walk, I just walk down the street smiling, just at everyone. And some people you make eye contact with, they give you a smile too. They don't know what it's about, but they feel like they're in on a secret. And then other people don't see it, or other people, maybe they might say, what the fuck are you smiling about? And then you can just say, at the world, have a good day. So, it just feels like, go around doing that and spreading this goodness. And that's actually powerful. It's like all of a sudden these ripple waves started going, and like good things started coming back. And it was like, just in the one-on-one interactions, it literally brightened the world. So it's easy to feel powerless right now with, I don't even need to mention how many fucked up stuff is. It's a crazy world out there. Get off your phone, walk on the street, look at dogs. Dogs are amazing and fun and joyful. Smile at people, make conversation. Like, just
And
look
for
at
me,
buildings.
I mean, I would add, like, if you don't need to wear the mask, please don't wear it.
Yeah.
It really bothers a lot of people seeing people in masks. You can't see
It's
their
disturbing.
smiles, And if you're not close to a bunch of other people, you don't need the mask on. Just take it off your ear and put it back on. You're not compromising your mask.
Yeah.
And that to me is the thing, is because why would you wear it if you don't need it?
The issue
in this
is,
world of ours, so that when I see people that are all by themselves walking
know
down
what?
the street,
it's people who
Why?
are scared already of the world, and the government is fucking up their mental illness. Like,
Yeah.
it's triggering people. It's bringing up issues for people. And there's a human nature of pride. We have pride. We act a certain way or do something like, oh, I'm going to wear a mask 'cause that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But then what happens when 6 months later they say it's not? Well, a lot of humans have pride and they don't want to admit they're wrong. And that's why the government won't admit they're wrong. And so there becomes this sort of like, well, no, I wasn't wrong. It's still terrible. And you're all still being reckless. And it's still this judgment attitude. And like, if you really are fearful, and there is, like, this is a fucked up flu. Yeah, it's a real bad one. But there's ways to mitigate it and avoid it. And funny thing, I got Facebook memory. It was 10 years ago, Thanksgiving. And my status update 10 years ago said, I'm feeling so sick and terrible and really awful and unwell, but I'm still going to go to the Thanksgiving dinner with all my friends and everybody, because we're still coming together. And I'm like, if I posted that today, the quarantine police would lock me up.
You're a horrible person.
But but seeing it then, it was like, no, it was because we all had the fucking sniffles, because we all do get that way. Like, and this thing about dirt and dirtiness, like, I don't believe in living in filth. I'm a neat freak. I like tidying up, but I also know that getting your hands in the soil is good for your soul and your body and the microbes you were talking about. But everything grows in dirt. Like, dirt is life. Dirt gives us life. All food, all things, and dirt is good. Dirt is life. Like, the idea,
other people's germs most of the time are healthy to have
this is
some.
it, and it makes people stronger. And so the discussion should really be about, why are people getting so sick, and how is everybody's health generally? And the answer is, like, we have some fucked up food supply systems and food deserts and mass manufactured crap food that's the only affordable option for people in need. And we have a lot of issues with how people eat and how they're healthy. And that's why in BC we are blessed to have this fresh air and the ocean and the water. Like, we're just blessed, and so much weed, and the weed is honestly good for your health. And so we're blessed. But people, we need to start improving the health of everybody's bodies and spirit and soul and all the rest, because there are some powerful forces at play, obviously, that profit greatly, as you were talking about, from suffering and people fighting and this and that. And the only way to like peacefully fight against it is to stand your ground right where you are and be like, I'm gonna smile at all these people, and I'm gonna do a good deed, and I'm gonna make sure I call my mom because I haven't, whatever the heck, just, it's your only way. And like going back to the tragic imagery of like being locked in an actual concentration camp. And by the way, the Ontario government is seeking out RFPs, which means like they want to buy COVID quarantine camps, and like they're putting out contracts to hire people to manage these facilities. Just heads up, it's not a conspiracy theory. Look up Randy Hillier. He's the member of provincial parliament in Ontario. It's a video in the legislature where he's reading aloud the documents. Anyway, point being, when you're in a concentration camp or in a place of great doom or misery, or even the downtown east side, what helps people get by and survive? It's standing their ground in their immediate ground, being nice to their neighbor and putting that goodness out there. It absolutely is. So please, for the love of everything, go out in the world and just smile and just say a nice thing.
Find the humor.
Yeah,
Humor's
laugh.
everywhere.
And that's what ends up happening when we were bit. First, you got to talk to people. How are you doing? Oh, I'm not so good. It's been rough. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
But then you start talking, and then you can start to laugh about shit, because
Yeah.
that's what humans do to
That's
get
what they
through
do.
hard times.
That's what's got us through all the hard times.
Yeah. So this is how I'm feeling about Thanksgiving. It's just, I want to give thanks. And
I'm not
also,
going to give you a token of this.
no,
because
that's
I got
fine.
this
I
cold
got
going
this
on.
giant joint,
Yeah,
and
there
so
you
from Jerry, and so see, share with
Thanks,
friends
Jerry.
in need. Hey, speak of
the angel.
Speak of the Jerry.
the
The thankfulness, and so I want to go back to Toronto, explaining something that I noticed. So I visited 9 legal stores, and I was on a fact-finding mission. The first one I went to was Calyx and Trichomes, owned by Jenna Way. She ran 420 Kingston, which sold illegal seeds, and they got busted. And they were old school. They're old school crew. And she got her license in Kingston, and it's a beautiful store with giant cannabis plants, close-up trichomes on the wall, macro photos,
Yeah,
massive.
pictures.
It's beautiful.
Not the real deal.
It's
but
weed,
pictures.
but it's still weed, and it's there. And it's quite frankly, it's a beautiful head shop. Like, and it's got weed in it. And I went in the back room, and it's full, and there's a lot of product there. I'm kind of overwhelmed. And it's fresh. It's packaged only a month ago, and it smells good. And I smoked.
It's not all in plastic containers. At
It's
this
all
point,
still in the plastic containers.
but you can still smell it.
The room smelled to me, even though it was all packaged up. I don't know what to say about that, but I'm not accusing anything. But point being, when you open the package, there's quality in there. I was, like I said, I'm updating my knowledge. I smoked a joint. It was a Crest joint. Now these ones are like $100. I don't know what. They're ridiculous, the Crest joints. But I did get 2/3 through, and it burned fully white, and it was really, really strong. And I put it out 2/3 through because I was really baked from it, to be fully fucking honest.
I suspected that the licensed producer, the government stores would eventually have good weed.
So this is slowly what's happening, and the price is coming down for the retailers. Like they pay less for the weed. And so she helped me obtain cannabis to give away at my fundraiser, because I can't legally give away black market. I just can't. So I gave away legal weed in the gift baskets with like Dana Larson's Cannabis in Canada history and the books, the Green Buds and Hash, which all violate the law too. So anyway, but it was a great event. Cafe, who is amazing, donated $5,000 towards it. So we're still doing this fundraiser. It's at legalizationproscons.ca. The video is on there. You can watch the broadcast, but we're still raising funds. We had an issue that our credit card processor wasn't taking any MasterCards at all, so we lost a lot of potential donations and ticket purchases. But it's still running now. So legalizationproscons.ca has all the information and everything you need to donate if you'd like. But I decided to go to Hotbox Cafe. Now, if you know me, you know there's a little bit of history. We won't go into it because I'm being a bigger person. If you know me, you know that my co-accused friend, Erin Goodwin, is an amazing activist I've worked with for a very long time. And we had a falling out earlier this year because she started managing a store that's we're in a dispute. It doesn't matter. The point being, my friendship to her matters way more than any sort of, like, she needs a job. We all need a job. We're in desperate state. We're working. I got a lot to tell you, but I had to go and see her and see what's going on at Hotbox, and these are just modest, meager shops. These are, that one. It's like, they're not. There are big, shiny, fancy stores. I went to a bunch, so I decided to go on a mission and buy weed at every store. I bought pre-rolls and weed. I haven't opened it all yet. I got a box full of weed under the legal limit, and yes, I only obtained what was legally allowable and brought it back to BC. So we're gonna test out some of that cannabis on a quest for quality, because like I said, it's kind of shocking to see it was packaged only a month ago. A lot of the few tokes I had of legal weed weren't that bad. So then I also went to Brittany's store, Brittany Guerra, also my co-accused of cannabis culture, and her harvest store. Same thing, small business owned by locals, just trying their best to get by. IKEA furniture and some plants and beautiful wood counters and stuff, but like, it costs a lot to open these stores, and these business owners are trying really hard to make a go of it. And then I decided, like, I asked online, like, where should I go? Like, I got one day in Toronto, I can hit up a bunch of legal stores, which one should I check out and why? And I got answers, and one of them was Superette, which I personally was mad at because they endorsed a letter calling for more enforcement. But then the CEO, Mimi, kind of repented or took that back because they were torn to pieces over it. So I went to the store, and it's all flashy and moneyed. But then, I realized in all my interactions in these stores, first of all, at each one of them, they either knew of cannabis culture and had been there back in the day, or they were activists that I already knew that had formerly been in the community that got jobs there, or they were people who were new to this and so eager and excited about it. It was like kind of adorable. Because the frontline workers and employees are just trying to do a job and do the right thing, and they've lost the community and opportunities. It's all been taken from us. They did it. The fucking government did it. They took away those dispensaries. But Toronto is filled with stores ready to open and already open. So I managed to go to a lot of them, and like I said, that they would recognize me, and they'd say cannabis culture would do really well, and like, it's the people on the front lines working hard and lobbying still to like get farm, like, grown in Ontario weed to the Ontario stores. Like, no, get rid of the middleman, get rid of, and like, to see so many people in so many stores fighting for the same thing we're fighting for, and even bending the rules, like promoting the health benefits and talking about medical, and on the wall it says, here's for pleasure and enjoyment, here's for resting. Like, it's like, you're not allowed to do that, but they're doing it, and who gives a fuck? Good on them. So it was like, I had to, it was really eye-opening, and I walked around with like this positive sense of like, this is actually good. Like, it's not perfect, but the other dispensaries weren't. And one of the employees even told me, I work for a dispensary, it was a shady one, and they were renaming weed with it. And I know shady stuff did used to happen, and shady stuff's still happening in the legal industry. But to go to these stores and to be like, these are just like, most of them are just people trying to have a job and work a job and get the cannabis out there in any way, shape, or form they possibly can. And then, but a lot of them are like trapped in that they how do you stand apart? Like, the weed is all the same weed basically. The only difference is some stores only have 5 varieties. Some stores might have 30. So you might find something at one store that's not at another, only because of whatever limitations they may have. But it's like, how do you stand out as a store? Well, then you have to have a product, or sorry, you have to have a service or quality or an environment that stands out. Like, what do you do that's different? And for a lot of these stores, it's just fancy branding, and it doesn't really mean anything. Whereas cannabis culture as a brand has a lot of history, and like, we're just as fucked as everyone else right now, by the way. So at 307 West Hastings, our famous headquarters, we're in court right now because the government is forcing our landlord to kick us out because we don't have a license. Similar story. But we are applying for a license. Well, I'm applying and trying to get the ground level store legally licensed to be a head shop, because even just to be a head shop selling bongs and pipes and stuff, you have to get the same $40,000 a year license as a cannabis retail store. So we're launching. Which is
completely unjustified
insane.
And outrageous.
And then another offensive, outrageous thing is that legally, if you get a legal store, you're not allowed to use the name of a company that already exists. So under legalization, cannabis culture as a brand for cannabis retail or head shop cannot legally exist and get licensed. So we actually have to come up with a whole new name and brand for that building.
And why?
Because under BC's regulations, they say their message was that they didn't want Tweed to open Tweed stores in BC, or they didn't want A&W or Subway sandwich. You know, like
And
they
why
said.
wouldn't they even? I didn't understand any of this.
Well, the argument was they were claiming that in order to protect BC's craft industry, we need, or whatever, they won't allow big giant corporate chains like MedMen or corporate chain of weed, Tweed, no Aurora stores, whatever. They don't want to let them come in and open up the Aurora store or the Tweed store, because they're going to be selling Aurora and Tweed products. But they were saying in order to prevent a monopoly style sort of full control and letting big, but of course we all know these corporations just come up with a new fucking name and roll it out as something else, like Nova for Aurora or whatever. So it's nonsense, but it's also, I think, a strategic attack on the cannabis brands that existed, because every dispensary that existed, from Weeds to Van City, they all got, you can't legally have the name that existed before. So cannabis culture will be lounges, hopefully, because lounges aren't legalized yet. So let's create those regulations. It'll be our online media, and it'll be a brand in stores all across Canada and perhaps beyond. But in British Columbia, when in a year or two we get legally licensed, if this all goes as planned, we're going to have a different name. But it's a cool name, and it harkens to the past and the future and stays true to our roots. So that's just to avoid getting shut down and cut. Like, we're still in court too, even though we have to apply. And then, so I'm imagining out in Ontario right now and all across Canada, there are small cannabis activists and business owners who really want to get into this industry. And like I said, a lot of them are getting in now. Like, it's not, I have to adjust my thinking. My tweets from 3 years ago are no longer relevant in full. A lot of it has changed. So I have to acknowledge that, and acknowledge that a lot of our friends and allies are transitioning over and finding opportunities. And it's better that we be there as an option than to only allow corporate cops and politicians to be the option. So when I saw all those stores, and I would say to them, I'm on a mission to find out what's good, because we want to bring cannabis culture back. And they would all say, you guys will stand apart. Like, that's a brand people would go to. That would be amazing. You'll do well. So we're facing an industry where there's a lot of small people struggling to stand out. And there's a lot of big corporations with big money to spend that don't care about standing out, because they just have a giant licensing agreement where they own half the store, and for $500,000 they can own somebody's shop. It's a twisted thing those big corporations did. So cannabis culture is going to stay true. Like, we're not owning stores because I can't with my record. It's another shitty thing. But we believe that putting the cannabis culture name on 100 or more stores in Ontario with accessible, affordable licensing agreements, branding agreements, and affordable, accessible design elements and all that. No fancy marble counters, no like we could provide an option for people to have cannabis culture, the history, the magazine covers on the wall that proudly proclaim what it took to get here, all the court cases, all the Terry Parkers, all the legalization, everything. We'll have the history, we'll have the cannabis that's continuing to get better and better. And I still want to grow some myself at a place called Justice Farms, where we employ people who've been victimized by the drug war and give the money back. There's a few companies in the US doing that. I'd like to do that here and get some more good cannabis legal, because they are licensing more growers. It's just pitifully slow. And I think it's amazing to see that this industry is way bigger than I thought it was, and there are way more customers and there are way more employees, and it's like this weird Alice in Wonderland. It's like it was before, but all slicked up and cleaned up and whatnot. But then I kept thinking, like, man, I'm just as guilty and evil for using an Apple iPhone, destroying the gorilla habitat, and probably enslaved people building it in China or what. Like, we are all like the system and the thing that happened that created these stores and the model that exists and the problems that exist. It's evil and it's wrong, and we're still fighting it, and that doesn't change. But they are eliminating the dispensaries, and they ain't joking around. Like, we just got a health.
This is our answer to that right here.
Right? Oh no, you need.
I
so
mean,
this is
the big problem with what all of that you're talking about is is that access and affordability still doesn't include people that don't have ID, don't
Well,
have
I'm
a
not
bank
talking about
account,
the medical
and
side because unfortunately medical is not under this recreational legal license thing. As everyone knows, there's no legal regime for medical storefronts, but Jack Lloyd and others are working on that. This place and
if
your
you
case
went
with
to
weed and
these
sort of thing.
stores, I'm not sure what questions you asked, but they're getting a lot of people in the government stores that are trying to use their cannabis for medical purposes.
Well, of course they are. Well, we all know. I'm not saying this isn't a problem.
Oh, I know, and I know who I'm talking to. I mean, there is no such thing as non-medical use of cannabis, unless maybe you run this through a microwave and irradiate all of the actual value of the medical side of those resin glands, which, you know, maybe the
You don't
government
want to
is
do
doing, and
that.
maybe their weed is non-medical. But
Not all growers are irradiating either, though.
but the government's answer to people that want access to medical cannabis is that you can buy it at the government store, isn't it? I mean, they're very hypocritical about what they say about that.
Which is why we'll win in court.
Yeah,
And this,
we
which
will.
is why things are just going to keep changing. So my point is, like, oh, sorry, I got a tickle in my throat, so now my eyeballs
right
are
ahead.
tearing up. I'm not actually crying, although there's plenty to cry about, for sadness and for joy. But
Like the packaging is
like,
still outrageous.
oh, it's
and
all
the prices are still outrageous.
The reason that the packages are so big is they have to have the government mandated label that says cannabis is harmful for you, which isn't true, and it's probably compelled speech and all this. And we're still, listen, we're not going to stop fighting. Thank you. We're not going to stop fighting for what needs to be fought for. Like, that's obvious. That's
in one 3.5 gram purchase of weed from the government stores, you get 30 plus grams of packaging.
the price has to come down.
The packaging,
The packaging has to
is
come
10
down.
times the amount of what the product is inside it, and it's single-use plastic.
But guess what? Nobody supports that.
Of course.
So this is great because now we have
except the people supplying those packages, I'm sure.
But it doesn't matter because the
Whoever
producers are going to start saying we cannot afford this, and they're making lesser packaging or they're finding ways to get around. My point being,
they say they want to stop us from using just the plastic.
I know,
bags
but not the stores. Like, and we don't know which they. Like, maybe Justin Trudeau, maybe Bill Blair. I don't know. It's a machine that's faceless and nameless. It's just the ever omnipresent oppression of government denying free will. That's an issue, and this is something to fight for, and it is still being fought for.
Yeah.
There's nothing that doesn't change. Like, that's not changing. It's never changing. Who's giving up on that? Like, this is still super important. But so is surviving and staying employed. Quite frankly, I have enough money to pay my rent next month. Like, we all need to survive. And I'm looking at my community and my culture and saying, why would we let ourselves be sidelined by these people who oppress us? No, we're going to stand our ground. We're going to be there as the option so that if you are in Brantford, Ontario, you can go to Harvest Cannabis Co. because it's run by Brittany Guerra, who nobody can claim isn't a fucking activist who paid the price and got busted with me and we did it. Like, we have a lot of opportunity here to take back what's ours and make it what we want it to be and form it in our vision. And unfortunately, for the last 3 years, a lot of evil fuckers have taken it and formed it in their vision. Yeah. But guess what? We're on the right side of history. Cannabis is everywhere. Everybody's growing plants. When I grew those plants on my balcony, you wouldn't believe how many people are growing plants. And they're not just growing four, and they're not little fucking closet plants. They're giants. They're trees of life. So trust me, we are winning, and it's still a war, and there are still victims, and there are still battles, and there forever will be. Because when we win and we are on top, as we have the upper hand now, the enemy will always fight back. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. And so for your own mental health and your own sake, and for my own mental health and my own sake, I had to stop being angry and on the warrior war path all the time. Because there will always be a path for the warriors. But there's a lot more warriors out there. Like, what was so great was thinking, I don't need to hold these benefits and fundraisers anymore. Why? Because people who are taken more seriously than me by government officials, because they're not watching this, they're not listening to us. I'm writing a letter to Justin Trudeau now means shit. It meant something 5 years ago. Right now? No, so what we have are people who are being introduced to cannabis for the first time, either as corporate greedy fuckers, or as people trying to find a job, or as someone who learned about it because it helped their grandma, whatever it may be. They are at a point where we were mentally and passionately 10 years ago. And they're discovering this stuff works, and they're discovering they were lied to, and they're getting really upset about it, and they're finding ways to challenge it and change it, and they are doing so aggressively. And cannabis is being grown on a bigger scale than ever before, and there are more weed stores in Toronto opening up in the next while. There's going to be 1,800. They're approving 10 a week now. Like, things are changing from where they were 3 years ago, and that was part of my goal of going to Toronto with an open mind and an open heart, and to look the people in their faces, even though we had to wear masks. But that's why it was funny to be like, is that Jody? Like, yeah. There's a smile. Yeah. So, but then it meant something to see the human beings and to remember that we are privileged and blessed to be oppressed, in that we get to be heroes. We get to be the ones who do the doing and change the things that need changing and take the fucking hits. And we are the man in the arena. If you haven't looked up Theodore Roosevelt's The Man in the Arena, do you know his beautiful quote? I think you would appreciate it, because you've had your fair share of time. You know, we all.
I'm a problem solver, and I got here on one of my things I'm thankful for is problems to solve.
This is very
I got something to work on.
It's very true. But we also, like, I have to remind everyone, we got to pace ourselves. That was what I was getting at. We're warriors, but we have to look at the positive side. We have to celebrate how far we've come, because I really needed to stop and stand back and be like, I'm smoking legal weed in the street. Nobody gives a damn. Everybody's smoking it. Everybody's shopping for it, buying it. 10 years from now, everybody's going to be healthier. Everyone's going to be happier. Everyone's going to be more tolerant, more peaceful, and more questioning of authority, and more, again, accepting of what may be different than them, because that's what cannabis does. But you know, when
you gotta have as much fun as you can.
You have to be a happy warrior, and then you also have to remember that there's going to be critics, and there's going to be people who want to derail you and attack you and stop you from speaking the truth. And those critics may be individuals, or they may be authorities is a word I'm looking for. That's not quite authority.
Entity of oppression.
An entity, yeah. And you just be good to the people around you, and remember that when you take action, you're the one that's really making the change real. Like, we manifest things. When you say things and you spell them out, like LOVE, love, spelling, magic spells are real. You say things, you make them real. When I walked in those legal stores, I could have walked in with a scowl, and there was a bit of a little bit. I'm not, full honesty, there's a little part of me that's kind of like, fucking fuckers, you took all our fucking stores, all these medical patients lost their fucking dispensaries, fuck you. But then the other side of me was like, oh my God, there's like 50 people in here learning about cannabis, and then they're going to go and research it, and they're going to be enlightened and bettered for it. So anyway, but when you're in the ground and you're taking the hits, I just love this, because I have to remind myself once in a while, you know, because when you're fighting for truth, and this goes to people in places where they're not as liberated as Vancouver and where we are.
We're very fortunate to be able to do this.
You feel like an outcast, and you feel attacked, and you feel belittled, but you're actually still doing the work, and you know it. You know you're doing good, and sometimes it feels like, am I doing good? Like, being criticized and being attacked. It's like, how do you survive that? You can, so this one, you know, you've probably dealt with critics too. So I find this one really good. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So keep fighting for the right thing, and know that, like, when you do good deeds, like, there is bad in the world, and there's certainly a place to acknowledge and point out the racism and oppression and all the horrible things that go on in the world. But when you become so focused on that, and you're constantly focused on the fighting, it becomes your mentality. And I was listening to some, like, brain science person on a podcast explaining how it's like a tree, like our brain and our thoughts are like a tree, and the branches, like, where you focus is where it grows, like where you feed it,
that's where the fruit's going to be produced.
And if you're focusing on that lowly ugly, damaged fruit branches, it's not going to help you grow. So, but again, acknowledge the good and the bad, but try very, very, very hard to put more waves of goodness in the world, because the bad hits more heavily and it's more loud and it's more of a fist, whereas like a hug is gentle and soft. And it's so, that's why when you put goodness in the world, you need to like put more goodness in the world. You need like 5 good men to 1 good. And by the way, man means all human, by the way, just for the
Of course.
record. But you know, it's like trying to
Speaking
be
of
good.
non-men, hey Andrew, find me the cat.
What's up with the cap?
This?
Oh,
Yeah.
This is my home team.
Oh, what are you doing? Liverpool, football, real football.
European football.
Good,
World champion.
awesome.
Go Hawks.
But so the point being, like, being thankful for things is like one thing I'm thankful for is that this COVID weird, crazy, fucked up year really illustrated what's positive and what's important and what's valuable, and the power of a good deed and a good word and a smile. So let's not forget that stuff and remember to put that goodness into the world. It really makes a difference, and people will send me messages just saying like little things do change it, and like Glenn's positivity posts and gratitude posts have helped improve my outlook on life. Seeing the work you guys do here, I get to see so many posts with the kittens and all the things going on here, and it's like
Speaking of kittens,
see, and all this beautiful stuff. It's like that's uplifting. So put some goodness in your life, and it comes back to you and to everybody else around you.
and one of the things I had on my list to be thankful for today was the amazing people. And there's so many cool personalities that have worked so hard before us and,
Oh, yeah.
and with us. And been a real team effort, a real family effort.
Yeah.
And there's just, like I say, so many amazing people. And the efforts of those people, you know, in the face of oppression, like the oppression that we face, if these people that we're up against had their way, there'd be no legalization, there'd be no government stores. Here he is. There he is. Hey, buddy. This is little buddy. He's our store mascot.
I love this kitten.
He's so nice.
You're
He's a very good boy.
You
He's a
are
very good boy.
so soft and gentle.
He's tired around this time of the day usually because he's wore himself out.
Your cute little paws. You're all full of energy.
Oh, he's a good boy.
Animals. Animals make the world a better place.
Yeah. Cats is on my list.
Cats is a great thing to be
And
grateful
shoes.
for.
Shoes are. I'm
Shoes
really
are
thankful
underrated.
for shoes.
Real
We
underrated.
got really cool shoes these days, but shoes in general.
Yes.
I was with Bob High yesterday.
Oh,
we were
good.
watching Wolverine.
I was gonna go visit, and they said he had maximum visitors, so maybe that's why they're trying. You just have to walk in.
Maybe. No, they won't let you in. There's only a few of
I
us
went
that they're letting in to
once,
see
but
him.
they didn't.
I'm not supposed to. No, geez,
Anyway,
on the
so,
show,
all right,
on the
okay.
show even, I gotta say that Bob had a bad accident, and so he's been in hospital for a while. He's
got
going to
to
be
see
all right.
him.
He's in really good spirits. He's going to be better off than where he was originally as a result of it. You know, but anyway, I'm watching Wolverine with him yesterday, and there's a scene there where this evil fucker is going to shoot this mutant in the head, and instead she's got the power to basically hypnotize him, and she hypnotizes him and says, now do this. She made him put the gun to the throat, and she said, no, I don't think that's too easy, right? Just walk until your feet are bleeding.
Oh, boy.
And off he went, you know.
Oh,
And I
but
thought, yeah.
shoes are really important.
Shoes
And on
are
that
very
note,
important.
all around, it's winter weather's coming in. So a real simple, easy
Yeah.
thing you can do is go buy some real thick woolly socks, not thin ones. Thin ones, no good. Buy some thick woolly socks at like a work warehouse or whatever kind of place, and donate them to whatever local charity you have that serves people who are without a home. Like if you don't know what it's like to have cold feet, anyway, it's just a very basic
man,
thing.
it is
So
the root of a lot of illness down
Yeah.
here. The people that don't have proper shoes and proper socks, it's really an issue. It's right up there with the bad dental problems that we have going on.
So there's lots of
So,
ways
yeah.
to give back.
Lots of ways to give
It is
back.
Thanksgiving season now, and then November will be just make the world a better place month because it's going to be hellish with the elections and all that. And then December is Christmas, and it's a time. It's going to be crazy. We don't know how things are going to be by then. But again, as we get into these dark, cold months that are often a time of a lot of suicide and mental health anguish, it's more important than ever to be friendly and smile.
And reach out to
yeah,
people. If you're thinking about somebody, give them a call.
Yeah,
And, you never know how
absolutely.
much good you can do that way. We all need to connect as best we can with actually hearing our friends' voices and seeing their faces and their smiles.
Yeah.
It is very, very important now, way more than it's ever been in my entire
Oh, for
life.
sure.
These are very, very serious times that we have. And I always say life's way too serious to take too serious. And, because taking things serious sometimes just makes it worse.
Right.
So you got to have as much fun as you can. You got to try and help other people have as much fun as they can. And that's a
turn
way to make
lemons
yourself
in-
feel better too.
Turn lemons into lemonade and like try and turn negatives into potential positives. Like, how can I spin this? Or how can I flip it on them? Or like, if you're a fan of Disney movies, like I always was, Sleeping Beauty and the fairies, they're when the prince is on his horse and the evil things are like firing off arrows and stuff, and the fairy godmothers turn the arrows into like flowers, and then when they pour like tar to try and get it on the guy, it gets turned into a rainbow. So just like turn shit into fertilizer.
Yeah, it's what you make of it. It's what you think about. It's what you focus on. Let's all focus on loving each other, having as much
Don't
fun
let
as
them
we
get your
can.
mind. Don't let the algorithm and don't let the online government bullshit stuff get to your mind. Don't let them make you mean and bitter and judgmental. Do not give up your power. And do read some Stoic philosophy, because it's very helpful for realizing the power of your mind. And when you control yourself, easier said than done, because I've been in a dark, depressed place and it's not easy. And right now I'm in a position where I feel better, but I'm just telling you, it helps a lot. To do that. Smile at people, be friendly, read Stoic philosophy, get sunshine, smoke weed, smoke lots more weed, eat tasty food, get in the sunshine. Did I say that? And then do other things that are pleasant and spread love.
Yeah, we talked about it on the show last week a little bit, that they try to portray people as being greedy and selfish, and they show that side of humanity. But the truth of it is most people do care about each other, and especially when communities are in trouble, everybody comes together and makes it all work for everybody. We're very loving human beings. We got here based on love. That's how we're created. That's how most life on this planet is created. It's a desire. The natural instinct to survive is really love.
Connect.
It's about loving your life and loving your family and your friends and your environment and all about that. Love is really at the bottom core of everything, and we can't lose sight of that. I mean, if you're upset because not enough people are wearing masks in tight groups and you see that, well, don't hate them for that. Please don't hate them for that. Just don't. Just think of something else.
Yeah, because like imagine all the people you could go. Like if you don't like certain religion, you could spend all day going to all the churches or wherever and being mad and hating on them. But why would you do? Why are people so get
hate
off
is the
the
thing to be
hate?
feared more than the virus and more than anything. If
It's an
you're
infection the
seeing people
government
wearing
spreads.
masks and you can't stand seeing people wear masks where they don't need to, don't hate on them. Don't hate. Period. Right? Like really, hate is not a good place to be for any reason. Try not to be angry too much. Use it only to fuel your love for finding what's right and getting what's right. And there's all kinds of good causes to get behind. All sorts of hope in the world. We're the Serious Hope Society. I think we're giving people some serious hope that we can have low barrier access to cannabis and make that something that is in every community. These community cannabis shops like we have here that help people that don't have ID, that have prices that people can attain. We make sure that you can get a good strong cap for $2. You can do like 3 caps a day, and that's probably all you would need. We have edibles that start, caps are $2 and $3 and $4 and $5, but not huge amounts. If you go to even the non-government stores, they have gummies like $20 for a pack of 100 milligrams and things like that.
There's still a lot of businesses that have all these overhead costs, and that's what's got to get. They got to get rid of that, like the
4 levels of taxation.
It's madness.
It's crazy.
So like just even surviving as a business generally is really hard. Surviving as a business in COVID is extra hard. Surviving as a cannabis business in COVID that doesn't have government licensing is like brutal.
And trying to provide low barrier access, like real affordable cannabis.
So we're still challenging that. Like
it's
this
not
is all
easy,
still going on, and it isn't easy. It never is. But
it's been a very
again, it's
run.
like as someone, I think it was Mark probably, and when I've complained about being tired and how unfair and stuff, and he goes, "Did anybody ask you to do this?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Do you enjoy doing what you do?" I'm like, yeah. Okay, it's true. And whenever I feel overwhelmed with work and stuff, I'm in Canada where there is some like safety net from those tax dollars, and that when I do need police to defend me in situations where police are needed, that I actually can call them and not be forced to bribe them or like it just there's a lot to be grateful for, even though there's a lot to be
And even if you
critical
don't live
of.
in Vancouver,
And it's
even
like,
if life is tougher,
yeah.
what we're trying to say is always look on the bright side of life.
Yes.
You know?
And watch the Monty Python to lift you. I mean, if you get some coconuts.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
come on. Yeah,
Crazy
anyway.
coconut. The crazy coconut.
I love Monty Python. That's great stuff. But anyway,
And
you guys are true
and
heroes here, and there are
and
medical access issues still going on.
oh,
And
big time.
so
Holy
I
smokes.
applaud you and all the lawyers who are
Well,
working to
this
do
has been a
this.
journey of many people, you know, along the way to get us to here. All those people that helped our cannabis substitution program, for sure. All those donators that allowed me to sustain it long enough to get the city to support it. And now we're virgin. You know, we're on the
Hey, wait,
verge.
it's harvest season right now. If people have extra sweat, like, not, what's it called?
Trim,
Trim. There's another
yeah,
word for it, isn't there?
shake,
Shake. That's what I was
shake,
thinking of.
trim, leaf,
Used to
whatever.
be, there used to be like garbage bags full of shake would be brought in.
Everybody knows it's valuable now. You can turn it
Yeah,
into
that's the
oils
thing.
and
But if you don't want to go
concentrates.
through the headache of that, there's a
If
place
you got too
called the
much,
Healing Wave.
or if you have enough,
Exactly.
enough.
Bring it down. Share the
Yeah.
love. But you guys are champions
We'll really do
here.
good. We got 180 people right now, probably more than that, on a waiting list, because right now we can't include more people in the program.
Oh,
We've got
no.
253 people
Oh, boy.
that get 420 milligrams every 4 days for free. That's about 100,000 milligrams every 4 days. It's going out the door.
A lot of.
And so it's really tough to meet that demand. We're doing good. You know, we're doing good. We can meet that demand.
Yeah.
But I'm not to the point yet where I think I can meet much more of that demand. So the 180 people are just waiting. The craft farmers co-op, a real good group of people, like you say. There's a lot of really good people that are trying to be legal. I mean, we all want it to be legal. That was the idea. I want to be legal too, but I don't want to be forced into government packaging and some of the other things, the
No, they need to
taxation and
legalize it all.
things that would raise our prices for people or compromise our quality or our selection are not options. I mean, why would we have to
It
compromise our
should be
quality
no
or
different than
selection?
having a healing center where you're feeding people healthy food. It's no different than a Sikh temple where they're feeding healthy, nourishing food to help save people from the ailments of
Exactly the
starvation
same
and
as
shit.
that.
So like you should be able to come here and get cannabis and get the things you need to survive as a charitable, religious, whatever you want to describe it as. But like I'm with you
We make it
100%.
really affordable for people, but some people can't afford it at
and
all.
therefore you have
And
some
some
ways to try
people,
and
if they're trying to get
subsidize.
off of opioids, that's a tough thing to do. Cannabis edibles, strong cannabis edibles, will get you through the withdrawal and get you off of those
And
drugs.
there's more
And
acknowledgement than ever.
from there, you need to now replace those drugs that you were taking on that, you know, thrice daily thing. It's a daily use thing.
Yeah,
So it
maintain
has to
it.
be available for people in a way that they can afford it. And even people that have, you know, incomes and can afford some cannabis, to be able to afford that daily amount, you know, is really hard. So for that, we have the program, and anybody that can't afford it should be able to come and get it for free. And this should be subsidized by government, because we're preventing deaths. We're bringing
all the
health
costs.
back to the community here. We're really embraced by everybody, and we're told every day of the variety of different
And
reasons
there's
it
more
helps
evidence
people.
than ever that the cannabis and opioid prevention, it's like being proven time and time again. Like it used to be crazy 5 years ago to say it, but now.
I'm not doing crack
welcome.
today because of a joint.
See?
Thank
Look
you
at
very
this,
much.
saving lives every fucking day.
If
Bless
you
you.
didn't hear that, a fellow was just here. He says he's not doing crack today because we're here to get him
It
some
means
weed.
a
So
lot. And I used cocaine when I was young. That was my bad thing briefly. And cannabis saved me from cocaine. And it saved me from drinking, which I wasn't ever a big drinker, but I could have gone there. And it also helped me get off Effexor, an antidepressant pharmaceutical that was very terrible for my health in the long term. So cannabis saved my life. Cannabis is my mental health medicine. And just a quick note, because I have to run too, but we were talking
just
about
about done.
pioneers. And medicine. Well, Michelle Rainey,
love
we know Michelle was a real medical activist because cannabis worked for her for Crohn's disease. And then she got cancer, and it was her medicine of choice for that. She passed on October 20th, 2010, which is coming up on
10
a
years?
decade. Can you believe a decade ago?
Really?
I know. I know. We're older. A lot has happened since then. So a lot of people don't know who Michelle is. and I've been open and honest about the fact that Michelle, we were all very close. She was my maid of honor. She was Mark's like right-hand woman for the businesses and everything. There was a falling out after the DEA raid and extradition, and then things
That was
got
a lot
tough.
of stress on a lot of people, you
It was
guys.
real fucked up times,
Yep.
man. And unfortunately, she got cancer and died quite quickly, and we never really got to heal that wound. And that's something I carry with me all the time, and it's part of my reason for never letting the grudges last, whether it's with Mark for saying something ridiculous, or whether it's with Aaron for working for a company I hate, or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter.
Friendship
People
and love is more important.
so much more important. And so Michelle, her passing, you know, I just think of like, what would she have been? This period of time right now is what she would have felt vindicated for. She would feel this is right. She would have her own chain of stores with big booby hugs, and I don't know. I just feel like we have to acknowledge that a lot of people did not get to live to see this much progress. So while we feel tired and frustrated, rightfully so, there's a lot of people that didn't get the opportunity and the chance to keep fighting to make it a better place.
And
So
we
we're
fight
blessed.
for them.
And we fight for them. And so on October 20th, at Michelle, there's a bench. There's a red bench out by the river. If you know, you know. Can't invite everybody. It's more of a friends and family sort of thing, which includes you, of course, if you can. But on the 20th, people are being welcome to come out and just share a smoke in memory of Michelle, and to remember that her mission for medical marijuana, and it's the medicinal shirts, you've seen them around, the medicinal with the leaves, that, you know, that mission is still like, we would need Michelle more than ever right now, because that is an unwon,
miss her
it's an
so much.
unwon battle, you could say. We still have to. So anyway, spread goodness and kindness, love people while they're here.
Big booby hugs.
Big booby hugs. Bury your fucking grudges, like seriously.
Seriously.
And trust me, it's hard. I still have enemies, and
Everybody does what they think is the right thing at the time, right? For them, they're doing what is the right thing for them based on who they are and what they know.
And their
all
reality.
that.
We all have different realities,
different
and we just
realities.
need to respect that, appreciate it, be compassionate, considerate, but protect yourself from harmful other realities that can harm you, and just stick with bubbles like, I like this reality, because the reality
I like
is
hanging around my little community pot shop here,
It's-
changing the world from here. You
one
know?
life at a time,
One
literally,
life at a time.
literally saving lives with plant medicine, which we all deserve access to. So that's the main goal and the mission, and I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for Neil helping get all this content out
Me
there.
too.
I'm thankful to Glenn for putting the positivity out there, and I'm thankful to all the people volunteering and working at
Every
places
day
like
is
this.
Thanksgiving Day, really.
Honestly is.
It really is.
Seriously,
you know?
this year, a lot of
Every
people.
day is a day for thanking, because there's so much. I mean, just to be alive another day.
Yeah, and we learned
know?
how to be thankful for fresh air, because those smoky days were hell, and it was like we could live in a hellish burning fire inferno like California for days. Just being able to breathe, fucking
Life
thank
is
you.
amazing. If you
Life is
have
amazing.
it, enjoy it. Don't
Yes.
take it for granted. You know, live every moment.
And make it a beautiful thing for other people and animals and plants and living things.
Because that makes it a beautiful thing for you.
And it makes
know?
you a superhero, because no government can stop you from smiling,
That's
even
right.
if you're wearing a mask.
Even in those concentration
You have your
camps.
wrinkles. Trust me. People can tell when you're smiling. You just
We're
and
learning
laugh.
that.
Laugh and giggle. We need more laughs and giggles, because a mask can't suppress a fucking loud laugh. I'll tell you that much, because I've done it real loud. You know me. I'm loud.
That's right. We'd hear your laugh.
Yeah, that's for sure. You can't stop that, because that spreads good vibes. It's actually sound vibrations that I think lift people's spirits. So this is a healing place, because not just the cannabis, but the people in it. So bless you and all the people making this possible.
Thank you. We want to make this possible in every community, because this is what every community really needs.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, it's fine to have government stores where people can go and buy really good weed at fairly good prices. Although if we're talking by the gram, it's still not very good in my opinion, because what other fruit or vegetable do we talk about?
No, those
gram?
are prohibition prices still.
Yeah, we're still in the artificially inflated
lot of work to
prohibition
do.
prices
But
for sure.
things are exponential and go fast. So 10 years ago we were here, and now we're here, and it went this far. And so in 10 years from now, like, weed's gonna be everywhere. It's just. And I think what will happen with more plant medicine and trauma treatment and stigma reduction, and also all this bullshit with the world, is showing like we need to take care of each other economically and have living ability. Basically, I think in 10 years from now, we're all going to be happier, healthier people, because it's in the power of us to make it that way. And I sure as hell am not going to let the negative Nellies and the evil fuckers control the narrative here. No, it's going to be a beautiful world, because we're going to make it so.
Yeah. And
Is that the way it goes?
In 10 years, there'll be no penalties for pot anywhere.
There shouldn't be any. And
there'll be an apology.
I think
We
there will
deserve
be.
a big time apology.
Dude, they're
for,
doing it in the
you know,
U.S. Like Canada, shame on the Canadian government, but in a lot of U.S. states, they are erasing records and expunging and actually acknowledging it. Still a lot of evil, still a lot of people in prison. Again, both glass half full and half
Maybe
empty.
we
But
haven't
I'm telling you,
properly
it's
told the story yet, that this is all just corruption, that
well.
weed was never evil,
Trust me, when they
that it was
all
never a crime to have it or grow it or
they're
sell
gonna
it.
know. They're gonna know once all people start using cannabis because it's the new fun
You're
thing and
like,
it's
this
legal.
was illegal. Why?
And they're going to
You
question
know?
authority and they're
Yeah.
going to change their mind and we're going to be on a path of better. Like, there's a lot of news about cannabis treating COVID, even. So, like, the truth will not be hidden. This plant is desperate to grow. It's not going to be contained in closets anymore. It's growing bigger. And I feel like it's telling all the other cannabis plants, like, yo, it is time. Overgrow the government.
Because it's a way bigger issue.
Oh, yeah.
We got just a couple more minutes with you, but this is not just about being able to have this plant for all that
No.
it does to us. This is an
a freedom of choice
example.
issue.
This is a symbol. This is a symbol of just how corrupt things can get. Even when you think you're a free human in some sort of democracy with public servants, it can get so corrupt that this can become a crime to possess or to grow or to sell.
The good thing
Like-
you could point out, or I pointed out, like right now, there's some parallels here with the government right now is locking things down and punishing people and arresting them and quarantine camping them and whatever for COVID, and their argument is it's for everybody's health. We're just looking out for your health, and I'm like, well, let me just tell you, as a cannabis activist, we've heard the government tell us for a long time that cannabis is bad for our health. Therefore, they need to arrest us, strip search us, jail us, take away our kids, take away our
Handcuffs,
jobs,
don't
take
forget the
away our
handcuffs.
homes, abuse and degrade and mistreat
100%.
to protect our health.
Protect us.
Because the alternative would be,
This
our
plant.
health would suffer.
We'd get hurt.
So the fact is, when people realize that sort of thing and they go, wait a minute, like
Yeah.
they'll question all sorts of
You
stuff.
know you can't trust your government at that point.
And this,
The bells go
Yeah.
off and you go, wow.
yeah, and that's
Wow.
happening. Trust me, it's happening. Things
Because it's
are-
not like they didn't know forever.
That's exactly why.
But they
it's
certainly have known for the last decade or two.
No, since the 70s
Yeah,
when they said cannabis.
long time.
Oh yeah, it's all.
But they lie and they
Yeah.
stall and they make up other excuses of violence and insanity or lazy,
Lazy
and
and stupid,
stupid
I
or
know, that's so funny.
microbes that will hurt you. We have to protect you from these microbes that will hurt you. Yeah, it gets more and more ludicrous all the time. There's a philosopher out there. I forget exactly how it goes, but it says first things get crazy, then they get stupid, then finally, but at some
It's
point
accepted.
it just gets so ridiculous. Well, now it is so ridiculous. Not that cannabis could be illegal, but that a group of public servants paid by us free people could actually somehow get it that corrupted and twisted that this could be good for us, to jail us and abuse us and oppress us.
No, but
over
in a
fucking
way, it's
plant.
like we got to get the weed into the system to overgrow and corrupt the system from within.
That's it.
It's kind of
That's-
like
that was the way
once
to do it.
Like the government is gonna be like, oh, we're making money on weed. We should have more weed. There should be more. Sell more weed. Sell
Yeah.
more weed. They don't even realize they're selling the seeds of their destruction.
Yeah, they are.
Wahaha.
They have been really ripping off their clothing one at a time for the last quite a while. They are naked now. They're standing
Emperor
there
wears no
thinking they're
clothes.
dressed. They're bent over and prone for you. This is how much they've exposed themselves.
Yeah.
This is this whole issue has got to not just change whether you can have reasonable low barrier access to cannabis, but it really needs to change how we do democracy, how we think about public
Just
servants, and
health,
what powers
too.
we give them.
And the idea of personalized medicine and personalized health, and that we are all unique and different, and cannabis treats us all differently. And growing my own cannabis, that shit hits me hard. It might not hit other people hard, but like things affect you differently depending the energy you put into it and different things
sure.
like that. So I think cannabis is helping disrupt. Like cannabis demonstrated that mass production of weed isn't working. It's not good for anybody. And in similar ways, mass production of food and clothing and all things that are mass produced in slave factories, not good. And it's like, I feel that cannabis is the disruptor that's like, hey, you've been doing it all wrong. Like you can see how it's being done wrong with me. Like you're doing it all wrong with everything else. And I think with people going to their gardens and even the COVID crisis and returning to the food source and like getting decentralized and localized, I think that's powerful. I think that cannabis is really like seeing people's fucking these trees I can't believe how big cannabis grows. If you let it
Yeah.
grow wild,
Oh man.
man, these giants, and they're
If you
all
give
over
them what
Canada.
they want, you just got to give them what they want.
They fucking
and
love the sun, I tell you that. And
they
they
love the
get
sun, a
big
few other
and
things.
they like love.
Yeah.
And so,
So
a
grow
lot
plants.
of people are growing and sharing and spreading the love, and that's like see giants everywhere. And it was the best thing. I thought my plants were big. Oh golly, I was bragging, and everyone must have been like, "Good job,
Oh
Jody."
man,
They were
go
better
see
than
Jay
last
Green
year.
in Saskatchewan, and then you know
Oh
big.
man, yeah.
Like,
So
wow.
it's exciting. Trust me, my learning experience in Toronto taught me that things might not be what we feel they are, and we have to be open to immersing ourselves and saying, "What do I not know?" You don't know what you don't know till you know it.
Yep.
And the only way to figure it out was to actually like get over my stuff, which is still valid. I'm not saying that my feelings and hurt and trauma and upset and the injustice are all wrong. They're not. It was all valid. But how do I move forward? Because I cannot let that pain be a chain that ties me to a ball that drags me down. Well, you know,
You
like
need it to be a balloon that drags you up and allows you to get
fucking
higher
get
heights.
high, man.
Get higher.
That's
Exactly.
the goal.
Thank you so much, Jody. I really
Right on.
appreciate you taking the time and sharing your thoughts.
Yeah,
Anything you want to plug before you go? Anything else?
Halloween is coming.
Halloween. Wow.
I like Halloween.
Stay in your bubbles.
Stay in your bubble. I don't really have any. No, quite frankly, I'm just. I don't know.
You're just cruising in your flow.
I learned. I'm really working hard because like I've got employees who depend on us. Things are desperate. Like I work really hard. We have a lot of plans. We have a lot of issues. Health Canada just emailed us to complain that our 420 live broadcast violated the Cannabis Act. So you know we still got stuff to do.
Because you're promoting cannabis
Right.
during a protest.
It's ridiculous. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to take care of myself and my health and pace myself. But also, so I learned how to bake really well during the pandemic,
Nice.
right? You all saw me. I think I was
Yeah,
making.
I saw some of that stuff.
Man, that's a lot of butter bricks that go into pie crusts. That's a lot of straight butter, sugar, flour. And when you live alone and you have like flats of muffins, it can. Anyway, long story short, I ended up losing all that weight and I fit my clothes again. But
Nice.
the short story is. I want to bake and make food and muffins and things with love and a place to give them. And I saw that you guys give food out here. I don't know how to make medicated edibles. That's not my jam.
That's all right.
But like muffins, and I saw Dana's
Sure.
Drug Testing Center does food, and Sarah Blythe, I imagine they give out. So in this season, I thought, you know, I'm not going to make any solid commitments, but I thought it'd be fun if at least every weekend or other weekend or I could make muffins.
That'd be beautiful.
And get some juice boxes and just put together like little breakfast.
We just have them out there on the end of the counter. You know, we always have
right in
apple
little
ones.
bags. Right. This and so it would give me something to do that I enjoy, that I want to do. I want to bake. I would love. Like I'm a loner who wants to take care of.
We are
other
a
people.
conduit for people like you.
Right. I got love
That's
to
what
give.
we're here for.
Let me know how. So yeah, I want to. Next time you guys see me, maybe it'll be because
Nice.
I'll come in with a little batch of muffins for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be so fun. Okay.
Very cool.
Win-win.
All right.
Everybody
And
wins.
we'll see you again shortly on the show, I'm
Sweet.
sure. And
And if anybody has medicated cannabis butter, you could put them on a hot muffin and then make it a medicated muffin.
people are putting that shit on everything.
Yeah, put that weed on everything. Anyway, you guys are amazing. Thank you for changing lives. And again, remember, it's frustrating when you're on the front lines, but like, yeah, you're not alone and you're loved and
We might
appreciated.
win.
We might.
We might
Get out of here.
We might get a piece of paper with a signature on it from some public servant one of these days that says we can actually do what we're doing.
But guess what? It might not be in this address. It might not be in this location. It might not last forever. It might not. Here's another fun quote for you.
know.
The good news is nothing lasts forever. The bad news is nothing lasts forever. So you know what? Just like even in whatever form your work takes, just like whatever form our work takes, it's gonna make a difference. The only important thing is don't let that fire, your light, go out, because that's what keeps things like
life
burning.
is about balance, and I balance my frustration with the system with my joy of doing something about it. And so I know that I don't get defeated very easily. There's been lots of setbacks along the way, and you just got to keep going. You just get up and do it and learn from whatever just happened. Think, okay, well, now there's a different way we can do this.
Oh, that's
perhaps,
the best thing. Admitting a mistake is one of the best things, because what you're actually saying is, I'm smarter and better now.
Yeah, of course. I love it when people show me I'm wrong about something, because then I get to be right about it from that point on. And it used to be when I was a kid, and not just a kid, but for most of my life, I could be wrong for months.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd never know. But nowadays, even the 5-year-olds, I mean, if somebody says something in a group, they're Googling and going, no. So you're not as wrong for as long these days as you used to be.
It's kind of liberating to say also that anything is possible.
Yeah, anything is possible. Thanks. With people like you, Jody, anything is possible. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and we'll continue to do, I'm sure.
Champions. Peace and pot. I mean, that's Marijuana Man's thing, but love and light. Yeah.
It's everybody's thing. Flattery is, imitation is the best form of flattery.
And he's awesome. And you're awesome.
Greg
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Jody.
Cheers.
Very cool. All right. So we continue to have to battle, unfortunately, with our public servants, and we have a court date coming up on October 19th for our dispensary here. We're hoping that the city licensing department will back off in those few days and tell the landlord that they're not going to proceed against him, but that may or may not happen. You can feel free to email me, freedomtour06@hotmail.com, and send me a supportive letter that we could maybe use, in helping these authorities recognize that there's a lot of people that support what we're doing. And so that's one of the things that you can do. Otherwise, we'll keep you posted as we go here as to what happens. I'll be, by next week, we will have either had our court case or not, and we will either have had an outcome or not, as that's the way courts tend to go. But we'll know more then than we know right now. So join us at that time. In the meantime, there's other pot TV shows that happen all during the week. On Monday, it's Carly Marley and BC Bud Gal with the 420 Lifestyle Show. I'll be back next Tuesday with more of the THC show, Truth, Hope, and Change. On Wednesdays, From Under the Influence with Greg it's easy for me to say, isn't it? From Under the Influence with Greg Williams. And on Thursdays, it's Morning Glory with BC Bud Gal. And on Fridays, it's Johnny B with How's It Growing. And Saturdays, it's High Noon with Boss Lissa. And Sunday, you get a day to go back and review any of the shows that you missed. So, give thanks for that there's more time than you need to look at all these things if you got nothing else to do. Other than that, I want to thank my producer, Neil, for all the help that he gives me, to Glenn for coming on the show, for Jerry for coming on the show, for Jody, for sure, for coming on the show, and all those people that are watching and all those people that are helping and supporting. Thank you all very much. Be thankful for what you have. Be thankful because it always could be worse. And whatever you're doing, have as much fun as you can.
Mayor Kennedy Stewart's voicemail at the City of Vancouver.
I'm Carly Marley. Oh, and I'm BC Bud. Sorry. We are going to be doing a phone protest. Did you want to get stoned? Would you like a dab? A bonnet? I'm sure there will be doobies on the way. 419. I'm going to get my dab ready.
Fight politically by having the Vancouver City Council give us an emergency license to continue to do business because we carry products that you can't get anywhere else. And a lot of people, patients and regular customers, just people who smoke cannabis for recreational purposes or as a substitute for dangerous alcohol, tobacco, or other things, they need access to these products, and it's not fair that they can't get them, and it makes no sense to shut them down. It's hurting people to shut them down, and it hurts no one to allow them to remain open.
It's really messed up situation because a lot of people keep saying, well, it's legal now.
I'm just sad. I've been there almost 2 years. The amount of people that come in with such positive words and impact, it's just a sad day right now. I don't know, it's a community. It's more than just the marijuana industry. It's more than just making that money. Yeah.
The jobs are there for them, but we just are being forced to close.
The mayor had an opioid task force open hearing, and we went and presented the information that shows that dispensaries literally save lives. The more dispensaries that there are functional in areas, the more that opioid deaths come down.
We've been applying for licenses again and again and again, and they refuse us. They won't even give us the proper form to it. And yet somehow other people are being given a license. Yet whenever we ask, the licensing process is closed. I think we should start making some phone calls. Yeah. I'm going to do a dab so I can be nice and high when I call the mayor. Hi there. My name is... Oh, what happened, you guys?
You fucked up,
I
Carly.
fucked up. We got to be polite. I'm calling because I wanted to let you know that I'm in complete disagreement with you closing the existing dispensaries and threatening arrests. to do this kind of thing during the opioid crisis when it has been shown that having dispensaries in the area helps decrease opioid overdoses. It's just crazy. It's such a waste of taxpayer resources, all the people that you're putting out of work. And I urge you to please allow dispensaries to get emergency licenses so that they continue to operate. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a good one. No, wait, you said, and I hope you have a good one. So, one down. You guys, now it's your turn.
I was like, beep, beep, beep. I'm just calling on behalf of the whole dispensary shutdown. I'm just hoping you can please reconsider your decision and give emergency licenses out to the community so we could all stick together. Thank you. Have a good day. Kind of panicked, but
Nice. Good.
I would hope so.
Then you're all warmed up for your bong rip. Ew, ew.
What flavor are those?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
No. I was not expecting that.
Good? Yeah.
Oh my god, I literally feel like I'm gonna pass out. This is so fucking gross.
Just look at the lollipop.
Just move your hand for a second. Here, wait, I'll bud cam it.
What? What?
No, I can't do, no. Is that...
This is on live on YouTube and Facebook. Pot TV. This channel on iTunes podcast and on.
Is it that foggy outside, or am I just?
I'm scared of everything now. It's just weed. I literally just that was weed that scared me that much.
Are we still banned on YouTube? I'm Marijuana Man. Welcome to From Under the Influence. If they had weed, guaranteed they would make money. That's the only conclusion I can come to, is they don't have any weed. Because people are still going to buy it, for God's sakes. People actually like weed and want to buy weed. And a huge number of people have no choice but to come and buy it from you, and still, you can't make money? Holy fuck. Now what? What are you going to do to us now? When I was even at a very young age, go, wow, like, why would this be illegal? It is so much fun.
Outlawing laughter and feeling good?
Yeah, laughing. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Peace.